That's Noiseworthy.
Good Tuesday afternoon to another gorgeous day. Thought the rain was going to come. It's held off at least for a little bit. We are appreciative of that. Yesterday, we started the show telling you there would be a story that was pretty unique that we hoped would break while we were on the air. And the entity that truly had this story is 24/7. They had the kid with an interview, and anybody who else claims that they broke the story is just not telling the truth.
I mean, you mentioned 24/7, I believe, twice yesterday when you were saying, wait, just wait, keep looking on Twitter, especially look at 24/7. It's coming. So,
right.
I mean, you did your due diligence and credited who had the story.
The truth is that those that work hard and find out new facts that are interesting facts, and they're the ones that put it out there, they should get their credit. And those that take credit for that should be ashamed of themselves, frankly.
Well, I personally never take credit for anything, even if, like, I hear it from about this. I've heard some things about the same time, but then again, I don't feel like I'm in the breaking news industry. While I feel like, yes, I have a journalism degree, I'm a journalist, I'm more of in the discussing the breaking news,
the
analysis of it, the opinion business. I don't ever want to take away from the people that really have their ear to the ground, get going through the daily grind that it really does take.
There's a thrill to breaking a story. There's no question about that. And if you are ever in position to do that, then you do it. But you certainly don't take credit for something that you didn't do. There was nobody on this station that did that, so I'm proud to say that for us. We attribute when it is fairly attributable. In the meantime, the story that we're talking about is Jordan Nesbitt, the 6'6" wing, small forward guard. I'm really not 100% certain because everybody I talk to has a little different view of the way this kid's going to play. This is indisputable. As a high school player last year, he averaged 25 points and 12 rebounds. He himself describes the way he plays as a bucket maker. Now, does that mean he's a guy who slashes and finishes, or is that guy a shooter, or he does all those things? We'll find out.
Well, you obviously hope he can do all of them because, let's face it, the Tigers and their offensive struggles, you need a bucket maker. You need somebody that you can go to in points to get you some type of offense that just has not been there.
Is he a guy that can create his own shot when that shot clock is winding down? We'll have to wait and see on that. And the truth is,
we'll have to just wait and see how well it does translate to the college game because we've already got guys on the roster when they were coming out of high school that we thought were the exact same way.
So let's slow down just a second because at this point, we're not 100% totally sure that he is eligible to play. I think he is. We have precedent of this happening in the past. If you'll recall, Darnell Stokes from, I guess it was Central at the time, wasn't it? Did he finish at Central or he went somewhere else, maybe Southwind? But Stokes left after mid-semester, graduated early from high school, went to the University of Tennessee, played that next semester. So he actually played and played well.
Played in 17 games.
Played well. If I don't remember the numbers offhand, but I know it was good enough where people were going, wow, he's really going to be good next year. And he was. So Stokes has set the precedence that, you can do this. And this is even more unique because when Stokes did that, he gave up a year of playing. If, indeed, the clearinghouse is cleared for Jordan Nesbitt, then he can play this year. And he's a true well, I guess he wouldn't be a true freshman. I don't know what you call it. He'd be a freshman, though, next year. And the other really sort of odd thing about this, because if I recall, I want to say Stokes, when he graduated early, was like a 17-year-old when he played.
I believe so. I think he was actually like a true high school age. He wasn't one of the guys that got held back a year or transferred to IMG Academy or something like that.
But to the best of my knowledge, Jordan Nesbitt actually is already 19. So next year as a freshman, he could be a 20-year-old freshman. You might have in college a 25-year-old senior in DeAndre Williams and a 20-year-old freshman in Jordan Nesbitt, both getting a lot of playing time.
Oh, how the times have
next year.
changed when it comes to ages, I guess.
Oh, yeah. But this is so unique, one, because it doesn't happen every day, but it's happened here with a Memphis kid, where you graduate early and you go and you actually play in college right off the bat, and that could happen with Jordan Nesbitt. And we'll have to ask Penny about that, and I'm certain more and more will come out of it. But what makes this so unprecedented is that you don't lose anything by playing, because this is a free year courtesy of the pandemic. So he absolutely loses nothing by playing. And in my mind, Drew, he could be the perfect motivator, the perfect person to light a fire under a guy like DJ Jeffries. Now, I really don't know Jordan Nesbitt's game, but he's a bucket maker, right? Which means he can shoot, he can slash, he's really athletic, they say. Well, that sounds to me, I hear he's got a terrific handle. That sounds to me a little bit like DJ Jeffries. Maybe he's got a better handle than DJ Jeffries. But if I'm looking at this guy coming in, I go, well, I better be a little bit more consistent than I've been, because it seems to me that DJ Jeffries, in particular this year, has had a couple of games where he's played really well, and then other games where you're going,
just like everybody else
DJ Jeffries
has been inconsistent. Yeah. There hasn't been a single guy on the roster that has been consistent game in and game out. And like they always say, competition is best for everybody. I mean, obviously, when you have somebody pushing you, you're going to push yourself even harder, and you hope that whether it's Jordan Nesbitt coming into this program and him making those buckets, him lighting the fire himself, or lighting the fire under other people, and we get the true games of the guys already on the team that we thought we were going to get. We were going to get maybe some better shooting from Boogie Ellis. We're going to get more consistent play out of DJ Jeffries and Lester Quinones and guys like that. So to me, this is nothing but good news, and there is no downside to this. Like you said, it's a free year, better competition in practice, and if the guys already on the team can't get it done, hopefully Jordan Nesbitt can.
If I'm Penny, I'd play him. What if you got to lose?
Nothing.
You've got absolutely
you're one game over 500 at this point.
And then there's going to be a bunch of people that are going, wait, how can he play right away? Don't you have a set amount of scholarships? Of course you do. But remember this, because I haven't heard anybody bring this up. But Ahmad Rand, mysteriously, surprisingly, entered the transfer portal
after 3 games, maybe, if that?
I think he played 3 games. He could have played in more. Remember, he couldn't play early, couldn't make the trip to South Dakota because he had COVID protocol stuff. And then when he came back, apparently he wasn't in good enough shape, and Penny wanted to give him the best chance and let him get in better shape. And then when he came in, I thought he was okay, to be honest with you. But you know what?
But in the games that he played in, it wasn't like the best competition of the year. We're talking the Mississippi Valley States of
I think he played in one. I think he played in one conference game. I want to say he played in one. I don't believe I have the notes with me, but I think he did. But that's regardless of that. The clear picture here is, and I'm thinking out loud. I really don't know the answer to this, but if Ahmad Rand looks around and says, well, doesn't look like I'm going to have much of a chance here. We got Cisse, we've got Dandridge, we got Lance Thomas in that position for that matter. I'm behind him right now. Wait a second, we got 2 centers coming in next year. This
might not have been the best decision.
This really not looking good for me. I need to go to a place where maybe they don't have any big men. I'm athletic, and I thought he showed that.
I did too.
So he entered the transfer portal. Perfect timing, because I've got a feeling in the back of Penny's mind he knew that Jordan Nesbitt would be available to graduate early and to come, and he would get a free year out of Jordan Nesbitt, and the kid would learn the system, and he would weightlift, and he would get to know the guys, and he would get a jump on next year. And if he's good enough, he'll play him right now and maybe motivate other guys to play a little bit harder. This kid says in his 24/7 description, He says, I'll do the little things other players won't do, and I'll play hard on both sides of the ball. I hope that is indeed the case, but maybe, again, this is something to light the fire of the guys that are already here. Competition, as you say, is outstanding. So, and we wish, by the way, Amon Rand the best of luck because he ended up in the transfer portal, and we find out he is going to Oregon State. I haven't looked at their roster, but I'm assuming they could probably use an athletic big guy.
Probably.
And he'll get to play. I would assume he would get to play right away.
Yeah, you would definitely assume that, especially with the free year that everybody's getting. And obviously, like you said, there's no guarantee. We don't know 100% whether he's going to play. The scholarship, I don't think, should be an issue. It's right now, for me, I think the NCAA just making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed because, I mean, heck, we're already still dealing with this AIRP situation. Don't want to jump the gun against the NCAA. We got to make sure everything is signed, everything is perfect, eligibility-wise is all good before he even thinks about stepping on the court in the game. But just to have him in practice, get him into that system. And in his 24/7 story, he talked about how excited he was to get to know the guys and how close he is to the rest of the recruits of the 2021 class and how he's going to be talking to them every day, basically telling them what to expect when they join the program over the summer, which will kind of give those guys a little bit more edge because they'll know exactly what they're coming into, not just from what the coach is telling them, but from a guy that they trust in their own recruiting class saying, all right, this is what you're going to be doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on and so forth. Get your body in shape. If you don't think you can handle this right now, you better be ready by the time summertime rolls around and you're here. So looks great on every single angle. I cannot find, and there isn't a negative aspect of this.
Well, the only thing we just don't officially know if he can go yet. You and I are assuming, and look, Penny, they had this deal done for a while. The news broke yesterday.
Yeah.
24/7 had already done the interview with the kid, and they were being kind to the University of Memphis, and they were waiting until the Memphis public relations machine started to go, and they said, okay, we're please don't do that. We'll break it, and then you can do your interview, which is exactly how the thing worked for 24/7.
Kind of perfect timing. Today's the first day of classes for the second semester, so obviously he's on some Zoom calls today.
Well, yeah, and the other aspect is he probably could not play until the second semester started. So, and I don't believe that he has practiced with the team yet either.
No.
So he's going to get today's practice, Wednesday's practice, and then the game on Thursday. So if he gets cleared, he's not, and I've checked with the university at this point, not officially cleared yet. But if he does, I think it'll be a Penny decision based on what I've seen from Penny. I think Penny would try him in a very limited basis at some point toward the end of the first half.
Well, I mean, we talked about it yesterday and how frustrating it has been, not just for the fan base, but also for Penny. You know, we've talked about how he's tried 6 different starting lineups in 11 different games. He's put in this new offense. He's tried so many other things to where we know he's open-minded to trying something and trying to figure out the right formula for this team. So there's no reason why he wouldn't try it because, let's be frankly honest, he's pretty much tried everything else he can think of at this point.
Late after we got off the air yesterday, got home in time to watch the end of the Grizzlies win over the Phoenix Suns. It was impressive. Again, no Jonas Valanciunas, and you still were able to win and do it in a big way. And the thing that most impressed me was at the end of the game that really was the dagger, was when Chris Paul got called for a charge on Ja Morant. And I thought to myself, wow, Ja would never have gotten that call a year ago. They're not going to do that for a rookie.
No, not
in
over
the
Chris
middle,
Paul.
right here in the crunch time. You know, you're under 5 minutes, within 5, and I think they were, within 3 at that point, something like that. And he gets called for the charge that Ja Morant drew. And I thought, man, Ja has now made it. We all know how exciting he is. I mentioned yesterday he is riveting television. If he's on, you got to watch the game because you're never sure what's going to happen. But when you start to get those calls, it really sort of establishes your place in the pecking order of the game. When one of the great stars of not just basketball but of insurance commercials, when one of the great stars gets called for one of those iffy, subjective calls in favor of this new young rising star, that to me said something. And it made me wonder. Because we're so excited in this market about Ja. And frankly, if you look at the first year and change of their careers, the number one overall draft pick hasn't quite produced the way the number 2 draft pick did.
No.
So,
but let's be fair to Zion. I mean, Ja did have half a season jump on him last year due to the injury.
No
but
question.
Even this year, I don't think he's been that electric.
And Ja missed 3 weeks. Not even quite 3 weeks, but he's had an injury thing too. But here's my question, and we'll take it on the First Bank text line at 67129. 5 years from now, and this was the first thing I thought about after he got that call last night. 5 years from now, who will be the more recognized, successful player? Will it be Ja or will it be Zion?
Well, obviously, sitting here in this market, you hope and pray that it's going to be Ja Morant. Just the consistency that we've been able to see from him, really only having the one injury spell thus far into his career, while Zion has dealt with that from his time at Duke through his time in New Orleans. And obviously, you don't want to wish injury and, the what-ifs on a guy's career if he continues to get hurt. You don't want to wish a Greg Odom situation on anybody when you're talking about number 1 overall picks. But I think it might actually, even if both of them are healthy and their careers kind of go on the same path, I think it might be Ja just due to the fact that he's already got the leg up. He's already got the Rookie of the Year.
Well, he gets the ball.
He gets the ball more.
He doesn't have a weight issue.
No.
He's not, we don't think, is injury prone. He got through last year in pretty fine fashion, where obviously Zion did not. And that's not to say they're not both going to be really good, because they could. But 5 years from now, will the folks in New Orleans be going, man, we could have had Ja Morant. We chose, and we had the pick, we chose Zion, and maybe that was a mistake. I obviously can't say today, but it is so sort of fun to kind of think
about the future. It really is.
Just a little bit based on the first year and 20% or whatever we are into this shortened NBA season. We are busy today. We all know about the Tennessee story. So at 3:30 today, right after we do Top and Not Top, the voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, Bob Kessling, will join us to talk about the weird times that are going on in Tennessee. Brent Beard will join us with college football. We'll talk more about Tennessee with him and a whole lot more. Jeff Moore will join us. We'll talk National Football League. Then we'll do the same with Bo Marchant. And then at 5:30, it'll be a real treat. The number 2 analyst, only behind Tony Romo, now at CBS, is our own Charles Davis. I call him our own. He's a University of Tennessee guy. His wife is from Memphis, and his mother-in-law listens to this show. We love him. Charles Davis will join us at 5:30. At 5:50, we will have Crunch Time.
Lexus of Memphis brings you this first hour every single day. They are at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity, new start to the new year sales event to start 2021. Great offers on the few remaining 2020s, but the 2021s and the special lease options, that's what really matters. If you ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus as well. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new flagship LS 500, the 2021 model, and you will be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
top story of the day.
I'm going to say that is a combination of Jordan Nesbitt and the Grizz. And we talked so much about Jordan Nesbitt for the moment.
That's already my top story, so you might as well.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the Grizzlies have won 5 in a row. They are, for the first time this year, a game over 500. They are tied, as you pointed this out yesterday, but still there, tied for the number 7 seed in the West with the Golden State Warriors. So if the playoffs started today, they'd be in. This comes about 4 games ago, after the discussion about tanking. I'd say forget about tanking now.
Obviously.
And bring on Winslow at least so we could see what this guy brings to the tables. Tillman and Bain have both been outstanding additions. To trade up to make those moves to get him, again, give Kleiman a lot of credit because he identified what he wanted that would fit this team. And at this moment in this young season, that, again, looks like perfect moves. And for giving Grayson Allen the opportunity to become an NBA player by giving him the contract you gave him, which didn't cost you that much, but really cemented an opportunity for this guy to show you what he can do. Look, he was really a great college player who was tainted because he had a bad temper. It seems like he's tempering the temper. When you listen to him, he actually seems to have some joy in his life these days. And he's coined this phrase, we're just hoopers. I mean, it's good stuff. And he hit the big shot that was it was the call on Chris Paul that probably won you the game, but Allen hit a big three to put him in the position where Paul made the charge that determined the game.
I mean, also just one of those guys that you just mentioned. I mean, Tillman making the last-second free throw to put it away to make it a 4-point game with under 2 seconds to go. Obviously, my top story is exact same. Great times in Hoop City. Grizzlies win 5 straight. Jordan Nesbitt is at the University of Memphis. Like you said earlier, he averaged 25 points and 12 rebounds last year in high school. So hopefully he should be able to bring some offense to a very struggling Tiger offense. So
let us hope that is the case. And, we may not know until Thursday at some point in the first half in the game against Wichita State.
Not top story of the day.
Well, that is the Shelby County Health Department leaking an announcement today. I think they're having a press conference for sure tomorrow about reinstating some of the phases that they had prior to, again, this sort of safer at home stuff that we've had. They are going to restore restaurant capacity up to 50%, and they will give, I think it's a 90-minute limit now. You'll be able to stay in the restaurant for 2 hours. And as we told you yesterday, fans will be allowed back in for the Tiger basketball games at the 20% capacity. Same thing they had in the past with the spacing. Families can be together. Otherwise, you got to be 6 feet apart. No concessions, no bringing in any kind of food or anything of that nature, but you'll be able to go. We did have 362 new cases today, but 0 deaths. 2,500 tests, 14.5%. That's up from yesterday. Hospital space, those improved, so those numbers are a little bit better. We had 2,000 new cases in Tennessee, so we're up to 690,000. We had 1,200 new cases in Mississippi. We're up to 255,000 there. Arkansas's got 272. The United States now had 35,000 new cases today, so at 24 2/3 million cases, 9.7 million active. There's 25.4 million active in the world, so almost a third of the world's cases are still here around the world. 96 1/3 million cases, but we've actually added some vaccines. We're now up to, of course, you got Pfizer and Moderna. There's a Johnson & Johnson that I think is about to come into the fold here to be starting to be in the mix, which will mean more for distribution. That may be, and I got to double check this, that may be a one-shot deal, Johnson & Johnson. I hope so. That'd be even better.
One shot, 4 shot, put it in my shoulder.
I'm with you there. But all told, we got 192 vaccines now. They're still working on it, baby.
Hey, let's get the one closest to 100% as possible, even though all 3 of the ones that you just talked about are 90% and above effective. My not top story of the day, the New York Mets have fired their GM, Jared Porter, today, a day after ESPN reported he sent explicit, unsolicited texts and images to a female reporter back in 2016 while he worked for the Chicago Cubs. Mets president Sandy Alderson, there we go, who hired Porter last month, confirmed Porter's firing in a statement saying the New York Mets have terminated Jared Porter effectively immediately. Jared's actions, as reflected by events disclosed last night, failed to meet the Mets standard for professionalism and personal contact.
Well, this is a sad story, really. This guy was, a Theo Epstein disciple. He was a guy that was determined to be the next really good big genius in the game. He had just been hired by the Mets, 3-4 months ago. That was it. And then this came to light. I've read the texts. And, it sort of started off, I think, somewhat innocently. I believe this guy had a genuine interest in a woman that was a journalist in the Chicago or somewhere in the Midwest. And I don't believe she's from this country because she decided to let everyone know about this after she left the journalism field and she left for her home country. They don't say what it is. But if you look at the texts in the story, it started off innocently, and then he, for whatever reason, crossed a line.
Yeah, and you can't cross that line.
Yeah, he did.
And honestly, this is the perfect example of whether it started off innocently or not. Just don't send images. I
agree
for what,
with that.
As a 26-year-old,
I
know what millennials and people my age do. I've never done it, never will do it. Don't care if someone asks for it. I'm not sending it.
I hear you. I've never thought that was a good idea.
Don't either.
That is for sure. And those are your top and your not top stories. To Knoxville we go in a minute. The long-term voice of the Tennessee Volunteers is Bob Kessling, and he comes your way in a minute.
You have opinions?
I think they got a lot of athletic ability.
We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
Call us on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 or text us on the First Bank text line at 67129.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Taqueria Express number 6 has a new location, 6290 Winchester Road. Taqueria Express has tacos of all kinds, including chicken and sirloin, beef fajitas, shrimp fajitas, enchiladas with homemade tortillas, even chicken wings. And my favorite is the mango sauce, which goes great with a nice cold beer. You can dine in and take advantage of the full bar or get your order to go. Call ahead, 901-800-2737 to pick up or use the drive-thru. Ask how you can win a 2021 Nissan Versa. Taqueria Express.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stack. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Just a quick reminder, Brett off today. He will be back in the fold tomorrow. We are in the Family Leisure Studios, and I'm urging you to get to the Family Leisures. You know, that's north of I-40, right at Wooden Road. The early bird pool sale is a hit. They're going crazy. You can get in now, reserve your installation spot. You'll be the first one in with your pool in the spring, and you will beat the summer price increases. You know they're going up, but you're locked in with basically what was the 2020 price. And the same thing with spas. Hundreds of spas on order. Reserve yours now. Now, when it comes to play gyms, and this is an early bird sale too, I got plenty in stock. They're ready for installation right now, and on a gorgeous day like this, wouldn't it be fun to let the kids who've been virtually learning inside out for a little bit to play in a brand new play gym? You'll be their hero if you head to Family Leisure at I-40 and Wooden Road. Always a pleasure to chat with the longtime voice of the Tennessee Volunteers. That is Bob Kessling, who we missed today. This was supposed to be the year we played the third game. Memphis lost at home to Tennessee. They beat Tennessee last year.
Supposed to be a Bridgestone.
In Thompson Bowling. It was on the neutral in Nashville. Not going to happen. And honestly, Bob, maybe that's better for Memphis, because it's very clear to me now that Tennessee has now become officially a basketball school.
Well, at least for the moment, that's for dang sure. And this is a program right now that's really they're a fun team to watch. Everybody was trying to figure out how these new freshmen were going to blend in. How good is Keon Johnson, and how good is Jaden Springer, and would they make that big of an impact? And they just blended in. And the one area that has been so surprising about them, I mean, they're 5-star guys, and you would expect them to be concentrating about their offense. But they have been locked in from day one on the defensive end of the floor. And when they can play Santiago Vescovi and Josiah Jordan James and those two freshmen at the floor at the same time, and then put E. Pons out there, they just fly up and down the floor. And they're so fun to watch, and they don't dribble the ball. They pass it up the floor. Their ball movement from side to side is spectacular, and and of course, naturally, with Rick Barnes, they're very well coached. And what he keeps saying is he doesn't know where the ceiling is for this team. They're just going to keep getting better and better as these freshmen kind of learn their ropes a little bit. So the only game where they really hit that clunker was against Alabama. And, Alabama's really good.
Oh, they're really good. No, I'm with you.
Yeah, they spread the floor. They get to the basket. They're one of the few teams that I've ever seen in my life that they come out, most teams come out an hour before the game, just kind of shoot around. Those guys all get at the three-point line and shoot for that warm-up period. They don't shoot layups. They don't shoot free throws. Everybody, even the big guys, are shooting three-point shots. Then they come out for their regular warm-up about 30 minutes before the game. They don't do a layup line. They go straight to the three-point line and start jacking them. It's one of the most unbelievable warm-ups I've ever seen, but it's sure paying off for them because Nate Oates has those guys playing at a really high level.
Oh,
so
that
game against Tennessee was no fluke. I mean, Alabama won it. Rick Barnes will tell you he won it fair and square. So, but now they got to get assignment tonight at Florida. That'll be a tough test. But it looks like right now Alabama and Tennessee are the two top teams in this league right now. LSU will have something to say about it, but Alabama and Tennessee look to be the two best right now, at least.
I think definitely those three teams are the ones that will be vying for. Because
so.
I'm not sure LSU doesn't have the best talent, but we'll see in the long run. And I'd be lying if that's why we called you today.
I'm trying to keep you off course as long as I could.
Let's talk about what happened yesterday, and I don't think it was a surprise to anybody in my mind, and I think this happened a couple of weeks ago when they did not extend the assistant coaches' contracts, and when they did not pay to Jeremy Pruitt his bonus for retention of services. It spoke volumes, and as it turns out, that is the case. They were just waiting to make their total investigation and case to get rid of Jeremy Pruitt.
Well, the drums have been beaten for a long time, since really the end of the football season when the announcement came out that there's this investigation. And Dave, as you well know, it's never a good sign when the NCAA comes on your campus and starts asking questions and interviewing coaches and players and all that. That's never really a good sign. I was thinking as I was driving into work today, I was going, if we would have gone to Las Vegas last January and put out a bet saying that a year from today that Tennessee would be looking for a new football coach and a new athletic director, we probably would have won a lot of money because, a year ago, Tennessee's riding a 6-game winning streak, lots of momentum coming into this new year. Coach Fulmer is one of the most popular guys in the state. Everything looks to be building toward a great season. Tennessee wins its first 2 games, and everything's heading down the great path to success. And then suddenly things just start skidding off the tracks. And I don't think anybody back a year ago could have predicted where this program would be on this day in mid-January. And it's kind of distressing. I mean, it's almost like you thought 3 years ago when you made the coaching change, you thought you were getting a little bit of traction and had to have patience, and you thought you're getting there, and then suddenly you feel like you're right back at the bottom of the hill, and you got to start climbing back up again, and it's very disappointing.
Yeah, Bob, I think that nobody would have foreseen this a year ago, especially the way that they finished the season last year. Jeremy Pruitt had all the momentum in the world in the SEC, but when allegations and the investigations go on, and we're slowly starting to hear these things about the McDonald's bags and money and stuff, and you hear, regardless of what school, you always hear these rumors. Sources said this, sources says that. A lot of fact mixed in, a little bit of fact mixed in with a lot of fiction. So what facts about this investigation and what actually went on do you know for 100% sure happened?
I don't know any more than what they said at the press conference. I mean, I've heard the rumors. Everybody wants to call you and tell you their story about what really went on, but you don't know if those are true or not. And you hear so much misinformation. I will say this: when they announced yesterday, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise, that they were letting go 9 other people in the football staff other than Coach Pruitt. I think that knocked a lot of people back on their heels a little bit because that leads you to believe that it's pretty widespread, and there are a bunch of pretty serious allegations out there. And they're still pretty much allegations, but when you let 10 people go in your football office, that's pretty serious business. So, and as they said yesterday, the investigation is still going on, and who knows what they will continue to turn up. When people start talking and the fingers start getting pointed, all kinds of new information comes out as well. I hope it's no more serious than we've already heard, but anytime you start talking about the NCAA and level 1 violations and a number of violations, then it gets pretty serious.
Well, and when you hear that they're, as you just said, one of the most popular guys in the entire state, when you're forcing Philip Fulmer to retire, that tells you that it is very serious. Were you at all I know you weren't surprised about Pruitt, but were you surprised that Fulmer had to go?
Well, not really. If Pruitt was going to step out the door, I mean, the way it is now in college sports, in big profile programs, the head football coach has to have a comfort level with the AD. And I think Coach Fulmer did hit it right on the head. he's probably not going to be here. I mean, I don't think his plan was to be here past his extension. So I don't think he was planning to be here when he's 75. And I'm sure, as he said yesterday, he was not planning to be there till he's 80. So, and a football coach doesn't want to come in here and make a commitment, and suddenly after a year and a half, the AD resigns, and now you've got to build a bridge with a new AD. I mean, a lot of times the football coaches and the ADs are joined at the hip, and they're kind of marching in step, and if they've got battles to fight, with the administration or with the chancellors, or they kind of fight them together. And if those guys aren't on the same page, that's not a good thing. So I think from that standpoint, when you looked at it from afar, and it was pretty much clear that they were not going to bring back Coach Pruitt, then you knew that Coach Fulmer probably was not going to have much of a hand in the decision about who the next football coach was going to be.
You mentioned the chancellor, and I thought her press conference was pretty telling. She was miffed. I mean, there's no way around it. She was really not very happy at all. And you don't usually see that kind of emotion from the leader of a university.
Well, I mean, the chancellor kind of sets the tone for the whole campus. And, you want to have a place that's inviting for your students. You want to have a place that – and she used – I don't know how many times she used the word integrity yesterday, but she used it a bunch, and the president, Randy Boyd, used it a bunch. And when you have something like this going on, that kind of rattles the whole campus, and the integrity aspect of that. Nobody really wants to be involved in a scandal like this, and I think they're trying to put a good face on what is going to be a problem. And and Dave, this is, as you know, you've been around some of these things before. This is not going to be a quick fix. I mean, this is going to be NCAA will do their hearings, and Tennessee will probably have to go in front of some kind of council or something and plead their case. I mean, this could go on for a while, and so that's the one thing that's kind of this black cloud that's kind of hanging over the campus right now. And I think the chancellor did a nice job trying to put up as positive a spin as she could on all of this, and the fact that they're still trying to recruit students, not just athletes, but students to come to UT. And this is kind of black eye on all of that. As we all know that in a lot of these schools, the athletics teams draw the non-student athletes to campus as well. They want to come to a place where they can go to have fun at football games and be there where there's a winning basketball team and all those type of things. That attracts students. And this is a black eye for the university, and they're trying to get past it as quick as they can. But these NCAA investigations are hard to get them done over with quickly, and get them done where they're maybe not painless.
Bob, I asked this of a guy that we have on regularly, David Cobb. He used to cover UT alumni on the AD front, and especially coming off of a guy who's so well known for what he's done for the University of Tennessee and Phil Fulmer at the AD. Do you think it's time to bring an outsider in, somebody who doesn't really have a connection with Tennessee, instead of coming home to mama type of situation that y'all have had the last couple of ADs?
Well, I don't know about that. Dave Hart was kind of outside the family, and so Dave Hart came in, and he did an outstanding job of getting the budget back in place, building up reserves, and did a lot of things. He kind of got caught up in the crossfire of the Lady Vol logo situation, which was unfortunate. Wasn't handled very well in a couple of different circumstances on both sides of that argument. But Dave Hart was an outside guy. But you're right. The rest of the guys that have been the ADs here have had some kind of Tennessee connection, from Doug Dickey to even Bob, all the way back to Bob Woodruff and Mike Hamilton and John Curry. So I don't know where they've hired an outside search firm. There are a couple of names that have already popped up, and that are experienced ADs that have some Tennessee ties, that have worked here before, and they've gone off to work at other schools. So I'm sure that a lot of those guys will throw their name in the hat. But you know how it is in these searches, the sitting ADs that have good jobs, they don't want to be out there campaigning for another job because their boss gets mad. So you kind of have to do it behind the curtains and close doors and all those type things. And and it's a lot of agents talking to lawyers and things like that trying to get this done. But I think they'll find a good, solid AD. I think there are lots of good candidates out there that would like to come to Tennessee, and so I don't have any problems with that. You know, Randy Boyd's a good businessman. He's gonna find somebody that's got a good head on their shoulders about business and how you get this thing turned around. You know, I think that's one of the areas right now. All these ADs, you know, it's nice to have a winning soccer team and a tennis team and a basketball team that's doing well, but you've got huge budget problems. The COVID, you know, when you're losing $40 million a year, where do you pick up that money? And I think that's what the ADs, going forward, they're going to have to figure that out. And just because we're going to turn the fiscal year in July 1st doesn't mean suddenly there's going to be all this cash flow flowing in here. I mean, we still might be battling the pandemic then. They still might not allow, you know, people in the stands next year. Who knows? But that's one thing that they've got to find a business guy that is able to figure out what are the new revenue streams and how you're going to combat this, the budget windfalls and all those type things, and try and get some more cash in here. And I think that's because salaries, apparently, if you look around the college football world, salaries for coaches, they're not going down very much. No. They're still up there.
Although you guys may be getting a $12.8 million windfall, but we'll see if that is the case. Last question for the voice of the University of Tennessee, Bob Kessling, and you sort of mentioned before there was a report yesterday. I never saw any clarification. I don't think it's true, but were you going to impose like a pre-bowl ban on yourself as early as yesterday, or is that just stuff that's out there on social media?
You mean me personally?
No. You can still work.
Okay.
As far as I know, there were no manila envelopes with your name on it.
Not yet. No, at least I'm trying to stay away from that. I haven't heard that. I don't know. It would not surprise me. I think a lot of times, especially when you start talking about the severity of some of these allegations, that the universities try and kind of stay out in front of this and kind of put a peace offering on the plate for the NCAA to think they're doing something. And I think, you know, firing 10 people is a pretty good message to the NCAA that, hey, we're taking this pretty serious. We're not happy about where this thing is headed, and you know, let's put our heads together and see if we can figure out a solution to so we're not punishing the student athletes that much. So I think that's kind of, they'll come up with some kind of compromise. But again, Dave, I think they've got to figure out, does this thing go any deeper? I mean, they're still talking to people. The investigation, as Chancellor Plowman said yesterday, is still open. So still don't know how deep this thing runs, and you hope it's over, but these things never. They kind of seep a little bit, don't they? They just keep coming out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope it's over.
Yeah. Happy New Year to you, your family. Hopefully we'll play that River Match basketball game next year.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I hope to. You know, we missed Tennessee missed a lot of big basketball games. You know, against Gonzaga, and Memphis, and some other ones that really would have been fun to play. So hopefully we'll get them all in next year. Hopefully we'll get them all in this year. We still got some challenges there we got to fix.
Absolutely. Bob Kessling, thank you so much, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
Thanks,
Bob.
Bob.
That is the voice of the Vols. Let's take our final break. We'll put a wrap on this very first hour. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
I hired Nuptial Num-Nums to cater my wedding, and it was a disaster. Everyone was raving about the food instead of my dress.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
They're like, oh, Veronica, the lamb chops. Did the lamb chops fly you out to Cancun?
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
I will not be hiring them for my next wedding.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
It's time, Memphis. Tune in to Fox Sports Southeast and watch your next-gen Grizzlies Wednesday, January 20th at 9 p.m. when they take on Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers. Presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Check out Grizzlies.com for more information.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
Chris, and through our first hour, don't forget we'll talk some college football, more of that and more in Tennessee from the perspective of Brent Beard, our friend down in Jacksonville. We got a big show coming up. A lot of NFL with Jeff Moore, Bo Marchant, and Charles Davis still to come. A little update that we're getting on Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He is actually expected to practice in some capacity tomorrow. That is what sources told The Athletic and was confirmed by ESPN. They're saying he could be limited to individual work as he remains in concussion protocol.
Well, the individual work is, I believe, stage 4 of the 5 stages of the protocol. And if he makes it through the individual work, then I believe tomorrow they'll go full contact, full practice. And as long as he doesn't show any more symptoms or anything, he should be cleared and ready to go for Sunday.
Well, basically, he passed some big steps, as you mentioned yesterday. So he got to this fourth thing of the workouts. But it is too early to say he definitely will play against Buffalo. But I think we're leaning in the direction that if this continues to go on the path that it has, that he will be able to play. Also, we learned today, Kyrie Irving is ending his self-imposed vacation. Or what did he say? Pause.
Pause, yes.
Yeah. My goodness.
Which, I mean,
just amazing to me that, maybe the more money you make, the more freedom you've got in that regard. I don't understand how you could, and without any explanation. And he's not sharing with anybody.
In his interview
today,
he
needed time off.
Yeah, in his interview today with the New York media, basically just said issues going on with friends and family. I had to step away, take care of that. So, I mean, hopefully it's nothing terrible. But
he was really busy at that party, that birthday party where he was dancing.
And he doesn't – if you saw the interview on Zoom, I mean, oh, my goodness, the dude – could not care less to be there. I mean, literally, Dave was sitting on the desk like this with his head. And
somebody watching us on Facebook, you
can see. So this is exactly what Kyrie Irving did with his head basically on the desk. A reporter asked him about the protocol and brushed her off. I mean, just basically. I don't get why guys just act like they don't have to be there. Like that's part of your job.
Here's what it is. He does not feel that way. He feels it's an imposition on his privacy and should not be a part of the job that he has to answer questions about the way he plays or doesn't play because I guess he senses that that's nobody's business. I show up, and if I don't show up, too bad. I don't have to explain to you I don't show up. And maybe he doesn't, but he certainly, I would think, would owe it to his teammates that he missed 7 games. Now, what is that all? Knowing, by the way, knowing that because of real reasons, his superstar partner that he brought to Brooklyn wasn't going to be able to play. So he basically said, you know what, you're taking a vacation. I'm going to too. I don't care if we throw these 5 games.
Yeah, it's just been a really bad look for Kyrie Irving ever since for the last couple of years, and it's slowly gotten worse from a couple of months saying that he's not a basketball player anymore. He's an artist. Basketball is his art. He's a creative type of person and doesn't feel like he owes anybody an explanation. And regardless of how you feel in the situation, I mean, you're an athlete. You're a public figure. You knew that going in. If you didn't want to answer questions about your personal life, you didn't want to be a public figure, then guess what? You probably shouldn't have been an NBA basketball player.
Shouldn't have accepted the $40 million deal you got.
Exactly. For any athlete to look me dead in the eye and say, well, I didn't know all these questions were going to come at me when I decided to play in the National Basketball Association. Really? Because they've been asking them since day one. I don't know what made you think you were going to be different.
By your Players Association, it's in the rules that you have to do that.
It's a part of your job. Just as much as you dribbling and shooting, you have to answer questions.
Unless there is a real personal issue that he had that we could all understand as human beings. That does not seem to be the case when you look at the video of the birthday party that he was with his family. That did not seem to be a troubled guy there at all. But, to me, if I'm a teammate and I know one of our big guns is legitimately out, it's almost like cowardice for, deciding now you're not going to do it. It is a letdown to the team. I don't know how the team will look at him the rest of the way. And frankly, winning remind me later to get into the Tiger Woods documentary.
Oh, I watched both parts.
Just
loved it.
Terrific. The Nike campaign when Tiger Woods came back is winning solves everything or something to that effect. And I think that would be the case with Kyrie. If he leads the Nets through the Eastern Conference and they play in the NBA Championship Series, all this stuff for the 7 games early in the year will be forgotten. I think. I kind of remember it, but if he proves his value and they win a title, does it really matter? And I think that's what he's banking on.
But at this point, has he shown you any signs that he's not going to pull this stunt later on in the year, that he's not going to go on another 7-game pause to collect his thoughts and to deal with off-the-court issues when – let's just face it, Kyrie, you're not the only person in that locker room. You're not the only person with issues in this troubled times of a global pandemic and social uprise that we're all having to deal with. We're all dealing that in our own personal time. But guess what? We all still show up to work. And if I'm one of your teammates, I'm dealing with that. I expect you to deal with it on your time, not my time, and not affect my NBA season.
100% agreement. And by the way, I see behind you, you are ready to pay me off.
I am.
I see the Grind City Brewing Tiger Tail 16-ounce six-pack. How about that? If you haven't heard about Tiger Tail yet, you better get in on the know. This is the best new beer going. It is a local craft beer. It comes from Grind City Brewing, which, they're taking care of beerness in Memphis with their beautiful brewery, which is state-of-the-art, frankly. It is in uptown Memphis, great views, 15,000 square feet of beerness with a 5,000 square foot tap room, and there's going to be all these concerts because they got beautiful grounds outside. But it's the dream child of a father-son combination, and they've seen this through. They believe in Memphis in a big way. They want to really commit to everything Memphis, including the U of M, and they decided they were going to craft brew this incredible malt liquor. And they wanted it to be a part of the U of M, and so there's a collaboration. This is the official craft beer of the University of Memphis, but here's the deal. It's great. You can't believe malt liquor like this? Yes. This is not your typical malt liquor. It comes in those 16-ounce six-packs. It has this really bold and smooth flavor with this incredible clean finish, which makes it incredibly easy drinking, and it's got 7.5% alcohol. That is a good way to go. You got to check it out, Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing. They are taking care of beerness in Memphis. We take the time out. When we come back, college football front and center with a lot of interesting notes coming your way from our own Brent Beard. He is next.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I hired nuptial num-nums to cater my wedding, and it was a disaster. Everyone was raving about the food instead of my dress.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
They're like, oh, Veronica, the lamb chops. Did the lamb chops fly you out to Cancun?
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
I will not be hiring them for my next wedding.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, I started the first micro distillery in the state of Texas with my dog, Dog Joe, at my side. We're still working with dogs out at the distillery after all these years. Learn more about how dogs are a part of life here at Tito's Handmade Vodka at vodkafordogpeople.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka is made from corn and naturally gluten-free. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Strapped against my back.
Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios. Big story today. Jordan Nesbitt, the young 6'6" wing, who was a big part of Penny Hardaway's class for 2021, is now going to be a member of the team in 2020. We're still waiting confirmation of whether or not he can play on Thursday night against Wichita State, but we know the number 56 overall prospect from the 2021 class, 4-star, 6'6" wing, small forward, big guard, or however you want to put him in there. 25 points and 12 rebounds playing high school ball in the St. Louis area. He is on the team, and he hasn't practiced yet. We're still awaiting the clearinghouse, I guess, but he could actually play, and I wouldn't be shocked if he does, on Thursday against Wichita State.
And you honestly hope that he does play and that he works out, because obviously things haven't gone the way for the Tigers this year, and we're already seeing some ramifications in that when a 4-star like Morris decommitted a few days ago. And you really can't blame him, because I brought this up to Blake Lovell yesterday. When the play on the court isn't to your liking or what you thought was going to happen, especially when it's guys that they all had the exact same amount of stars by their name when they were coming out of high school. So you need somebody, I guess, to kind of put more reassurance for those later recruits that it will work out being a 4 or 5-star at Memphis. So no pressure, Jordan Nesbitt. No pressure.
Well,
save the season and save recruits. So go get them, buddy.
I don't look at it that way. Here's how I look at it. If there's anybody that can light a fire under a couple of these guys, like DJ Jeffries or maybe Boogie Ellis, maybe this is the guy that will do that, because wait a second, this guy could take my minutes. I better get my act together a little bit more. Also, of course, the Grizzlies won for the 5th time. They're over 500 for the first time this year. And basically, they are in the 7th position, tied for the 7th position with Golden State to make the playoffs. If the playoffs started tomorrow, they would be in. I just got sent this story, and the guy asked me not to cry when I read it, so I'll try not to. We just mentioned Tiger Woods, and I am going to talk at the end of this hour about that documentary. News just coming out about 8 minutes ago. Tiger has undergone a microdiscectomy procedure, that is to remove a pressurized disc fragment in his back. And apparently it created discomfort after he played with his son in that father-son event in Florida over the holidays. So he has completed the procedure, and now he is out of action indefinitely. This is the 5th surgery on Tiger's back over his career. It will definitely keep him from playing the Farmers Insurance Open and the Genesis Invitational, which is an event he hosts. Hopefully he's back by the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's better for the sport when Tiger's out there, but I think this just further shows what we've all kind of known. Catching Jack at 18, I think, is out of the picture. Getting to 84.
He only needs one. He's at 82. He's tied with Sam Snead.
Yeah, need 83.
All he needs is one win to have the most.
That can still happen, but
I think it will.
The majors title it's too far gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe. That could very well be it. And in that documentary, Scott Van Pelt almost prophetically asked him a few years ago if you could win 100 events. And he's at 82. If you could win 100 events, blowing away the Sam Snead record, and only have 17 majors, would you take that? Or would you rather have 19 majors and never win another tournament? Beside that, he goes 19. And so that's still his number
goal.
one. And that's really, isn't that how we base it? We base our greatness on major championships. In that sport, we measure it with Grand Slam events and tennis. That's the way it is. And but I still think 83, that would be some kind. If you're the number 2 in total majors and the number 1 in total wins, you still got a claim in there for the greatest of all time. In the meantime, one of the greatest that we know, maybe the greatest radio TV guy in Jacksonville, Florida, that would be Brent Beard. How are you this afternoon?
Humbled by those remarks, by the way, but doing well. Good to be on with you guys as always. There are no games to be played. And we still celebrating that we got the season in, but man, we need roster guys just to keep up with players and coaches and who's going where.
Well, let's start with the story. We talked a lot about it in the first hour because we had the voice of the University of Tennessee on, Bob Kestling. But what happens there? Where do you think they will find their athletic director, and then where? Well, we know Kevin Steele is in for this season. Maybe it'll be an audition, but certainly whoever becomes the AD of that school will have an imprint on where they're going to go with the head coach. What do you think eventually happens there?
Listen, I'm not sure that finding an AD, Dave, may not be harder than finding a coach, frankly. And I'm sure there are guys who are interested. Our listeners probably aren't real familiar with very many of the names, but it really obviously delays a lot of things. Which means I think if you're looking, and they are, for a head coach at this point, I mean, to me, it was pretty obvious the reason Kevin Steele went up there was probably either be an assistant or to be some kind of an interim situation. Guys, I'm not so sure it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to just go with Steele. I mean, he's done it before. Is he a great elite head coach? No. But, I mean, they just need somebody right now who can kind of keep it between the ditches, frankly, until they figure out what they want to do.
Well, how long is that? Because you don't just accept somebody that you just said is not the greatest. If you're a University of Tennessee fan, those people have a lot of pride. They used to think Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, those are the three schools in the East, and they were all on equal footing. Now, that is not the case at this very moment. We know that for a fact, but that's the way it was. I mean, you're not going to accept somebody that's okay, but you could, at least until you find an AD who will then – and obviously I think we're at the position now where you're not going to make any move on a new coach probably for a year. So Kevin Steele is going to have this interim year.
Yeah. Right, and which would be obviously an audition for him. I don't necessarily think they would stay with him unless Tennessee has a year that we don't foresee right now. I mean, listen, we talked in this segment about even if they kept Jeremy Pruitt guys, that with the roster they've got, then it would still be I don't know if people grasp this, but it would still be at least a couple of years before they were competitive in that Eastern Division. I know they won 8 in a row, and that's important. We had them down here in the Gator Bowl when they beat Indiana, but still, that roster is nowhere near where it needs to be. And I'll say this: they could do probably a lot worse by just biding their time and seeing where this is going to go until they really come up with someone else and let some of the chips fall where they may. But guys, my question to you too is, you know how long these things take. I mean, could we be talking a year from now, basically on this date, in saying that they still haven't wrapped up the investigation and penalized Tennessee for what they did?
I think it's a huge chance that we're sitting here a year from now talking the same, because we all know that you have to have patience with how long these investigations go. And, you know, just with the rumors coming out today, you know, I heard on Dan Patrick talking about the McDonald's bags and everything like that. Do you think there's actual truth to that? Like, when he was talking about it, he said they're basically just being sloppy with it. And he also kind of, from his quote-unquote sources, threw Georgia on the bus, said that they were getting sloppy with paying players.
Well, and I think where that comes from is Georgia and Tennessee have been recruiting some of the same players. So I think there is a, well, does 1 + 1 = 2 type logic with that. I don't know if you guys have either seen them or had someone send them to you. I had some guys in the media send me a picture of Tennessee running through the Golden Arches, and I also got a picture of the Hamburglar running on the field in Neyland Stadium, and you could certainly see that, figure out that's who it was. Guys, in this day and age of how slick and discreet that cheating has been, I still find it hard to believe that you would that you'd put money in a brown paper bag is what it amounts to. Look, I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying they didn't. But man, you would really have to get sloppy and cheating to do that.
Well, I do think you're right about this could take a while, because the chancellor herself yesterday basically said, we're not done with this investigation. They already fired 9 people, and we're still not, and we forced Philip Fulmer to retire, but we're still not done. So you're right, this could drag on a while. And I do think because of that, Kevin Steele is going to get a full year audition. I must ask you this, switching gears just a little bit. In your neck of the woods, you got to be having Urban Meyer mania.
Well, it is. Now, what they're trying to figure out is who is he going to bring in for his staff. Charlie Strong, college football fans certainly recognize that name, being at Florida and Texas, Louisville, etc.
No NFL team that I know of.
Right. No, that's true. Absolutely. So there's questions about that. Dave, I think what's happening here is after the initial euphoria, and it was there. There was a lot of jokes right here about they had to dust the cobwebs off the phones in the ticket office. Now they're ringing again a little bit. But I think the reality here is, and we're not saying this is going to happen here, but you cannot escape this. The last 2 stops that Urban had did not end well at Florida and obviously at Ohio State. That Urban is a brilliant coach, but he's also very complex, and a lot of people have said he's also very conflicted. So there is a concern among the media and fan base here is after the initial excitement, will there be something similar in 3 or 4 years at that point too? So as you can imagine, that is a reality-based situation here that people are concerned about.
Exactly. I'm just like you, and I think a lot of people just having the question mark about it. And realistically, even with the excitement right now, what is the ceiling, I guess for Urban Meyer? I mean, nobody's actually talking Super Bowl, are they?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Listen, we talked about the Tennessee roster needing to be revamped. The Jaguar roster, I may run out of adjectives to tell you how bad that is.
But can I point out, Brent?
Yes.
And I have mixed feelings about Urban because I don't think he's the greatest human being around.
Yeah, I agree.
But
yes.
I do think he's a heck of a coach.
No doubt.
And he has 4 of the top 45 picks, and he's got 11 picks total, and he's got $100 million in cap space. And I mean, I can't imagine he's not taking Trevor Lawrence, and I think Trevor Lawrence has a chance to really be a good NFL quarterback. And if he is, I think it is not going to be as long a journey to getting to a successful point. That doesn't mean a Super Bowl, but just to make the playoffs maybe. I think there's a shot within 3 years if Trevor Lawrence turns out to be the real deal and Urban Meyer doesn't burn himself out like Dick Vermeil did or like he did himself at Florida.
Right.
Then I think he has a real shot at being successful.
Well, the issue here is people down here have heard multiple first-round draft picks, a lot of cap money, and they've heard that combination before, and they've seen this Jacksonville brain trust blow both of them repeatedly. So, but, I mean, there's probably as much excitement for Trevor Lawrence, maybe even more so than there would be for Urban, to be honest with you. And, guys, here's a touch of irony, too, is that Doug Marrone, the previous coach, is now being looked at as the possible replacement for Alabama's offensive line coach.
I mean, Alabama knows how to shuffle them in. I mean, Nick Saban, if you can get an internship with him or collect any type of paycheck from that school in Tuscaloosa, you're pretty much guaranteed another stop, right?
Well, and guys, what about this? I mean, how many coaches and Saban can do this? Can go out and get Bill O'Brien as your offensive coordinator. I mean, that's happened from what we are hearing, even though it may not be official from the university.
Right.
And then bring in Doug Marrone, who is another ex-NFL coach. So, I mean, and look, obviously both those guys had difficulty in their last year. That there's no denying that. But look, you guys know Saban like I do. The only thing that really matters is recruiting.
And the other thing is you can say, Bill O'Brien had a bad year, and it's true. But Bill O'Brien is also the guy that turned around Penn State.
That's right. And Dave, Tom Brady talks about him in hushed reverence tones even today. Mm-hmm. So, listen, there's no doubt about that. And look, the reality is, all these recruits know is, hey, he coached in the NFL, and he's here coaching me. So, I mean, that's what they want more than anything else. So it's another feather in Saban's cap. He can replace these guys with former NFL coaches.
Yeah, just another person to sit in front of mama and tell him I can get you to the NFL. But
Absolutely.
Brent, as far as talking about expectations that they're in Jacksonville, down the road in Tallahassee, Mike Norvell getting ready for season number 2 off of, I guess, a disappointing and kind of a weird year 1. What are the expectations on Norvell in his second year?
Listen, guys, I still think that he's going to be successful here. He basically, and let's be honest about this, he had to get rid of a lot of the malcontents on that roster, is what I've been told. And he's bringing in some guys that they're really excited about. Now, Dave understands this well as anybody. They've got Mackenzie Milton, who is in. And look, I'm not saying he's going to throw for 9,000 yards like he did at UCF. But if Mackenzie Milton is healthy, and if he's anywhere near the quarterback he was at UCF, there's some optimism there. And their quarterback room probably is going to be a little bit better than people think it is. So, Drew, frankly, there's some guarded optimism that they will certainly be better in year two because he'll have more of his kids there, his own roster there. And again, if they can get a quarterback, i.e. Milton, to come through, it could be a much better year in Tallahassee.
Well, you know what? I mean, if you had said to me just this past September that Mackenzie Milton is going to be able to play college football again, I would have said, come on now. He's going to be at a school to learn to be a coach, and he'll be a great coach, and he understands offenses, and he'll be able to get out there and still run around enough to show a guy proper technique.
Right.
But after watching Alex Smith, maybe anything is possible, and I only wish the best for Milton McKenzie and Mackenzie Milton. And if there's a guy to teach an offense, I really believe, just based on my own experience, that Mike Norvell is that guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. If they can protect him, and they, as you know, they've had trouble there with the offensive line for quite a while, if that can be fixed, and he is able to play a season on his 2 feet instead of being harassed, they could really get something done. And look, are they going to win? Are they going to beat Clemson and be in the championship game? Likely no, but I still think some progress could be made. I think they like this defense is coming back. So at this point, if they can have and again, we don't know if they are or not, if they can have a spring and get these guys adjusted more to each other, there's still some real potential there.
I wonder, because nobody's really brought this back up. You were going to go, well, they're not going to beat Clemson, and you were probably thinking in your head, who else am I going to say? Well, you know, who's really great in the ACC besides Clemson? Yeah, maybe Mac Brown's North Carolina team is making that move.
Miami wasn't too bad last year,
but they were sort of a disappointment.
I mean, they're
in
not
every big game, right? But my question is, what will happen with Notre Dame? Because Notre Dame, even though they lost that championship game, still got into the playoff.
Yep, that's right.
They lose a game at the end of the year as an independent, they're not going anywhere. If the ACC said, we'll let you keep the NBC money, I don't understand why they wouldn't stay in. Now, I don't know if the ACC and all the schools want to be that kind of open, we'll defer to you because you were great 30 years ago.
Yes.
But if they did, I mean, I think Notre Dame has to sit back and go, it was to our advantage to be in a league.
No question. Well, and listen, guys, we know some of these other schools would be jealous, but the reality is if these schools sat back and thought about it, Notre Dame coming in that league would help all of them before it was over. But I still think, guys, and I've heard this from Notre Dame beat writers, and that they will continue and go back to their independent status until they think it would be worth for them. But Dave's got a great point. And who knows? Maybe they have. We don't know about it. But if you're the ACC, Drew, don't you at least have to ask and offer them some kind of sweetheart deal behind closed doors and see where that goes?
Well, you know what? I might give them two scenarios. One that is a sweet deal, and the other would be, and if you don't take that deal, we're not playing you anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that they could play hardball like that, but if the ACC does want Notre Dame, I mean, do they want to continue to do a 15-team football conference? I mean, it seems like a lot. Or if Notre Dame says we'll come in and we might even spread the money, do you kick somebody out?
I don't think they necessarily do that. But look, if Notre Dame's willing to come in, if you're the ACC, you would do just about whatever crazy gyrations you could do in that schedule to make that situation work. And again, look, if Notre Dame had been 3-7 this year instead of undefeated, that might be another story. But at this point, where Kelly's got that program, they very well could be challenging for a playoff most years than not. It's something fascinating to look at. And again, they're going to play a handful of games with them anyway. But I'm with you guys. If they could become an official member of that conference, that would be terrific. If you ask me, and my mortgage depended on it, I would say they'll go back independent and they won't do it.
It just makes sense to me that it would benefit them and it would benefit
Absolutely.
the conference.
Makes sense to me as well.
That they are in, and they do play in basketball.
Right.
And that helps although they're 1-5 in the league right now, but that helps their basketball. And they're able to play that as a 15-team league. So
yeah, but you're not having to really split it into two divisions in basketball.
Here's the difference. Aren't they the second best league? Well, they're either second or third in football if Notre Dame is included. Only the SEC is better. Maybe
right.
Some people would go, the Big Ten. I don't know. But clearly better than the Pac-12 and the Big 12.
Clearly.
By the way, Drew mentioned a minute ago Miami with that, and they've got enough coming back with Derek King at quarterback. Rhett Lashley at this point is going to be staying. And what an opportunity for Miami. I don't think they'll take advantage of it. But as you guys probably know, they opened the season in Atlanta against Bama.
Right.
So if the Canes wanted to become a contender real quick, that's one way they could do it.
And so that'll be Derek King against the kid Bryce Young, isn't that his name?
Yep,
that was
that's
supposed
right.
to be the
Absolutely.
So you got those kickoff games, Miami and Alabama, Louisville and Ole Miss. Who does Clemson start with? Don't they have a big game too?
Georgia.
Hey, we got some great games, honestly. We got a lot of basketball and then golf to worry about, but we will have a heck of a great start to college football. As always, my friend, we appreciate it, and we'll do this again next week.
We'll look forward to it. And, guys, as I leave you, huge game tonight in Baton Rouge, Alabama and LSU fighting for first place.
Yeah.
And it's not in football either, right?
No. And the surprise of the year is the way Alabama's playing. Maybe the most talented team is LSU. And clearly the three best teams in the SEC are Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU. Brett, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Enjoyed it as always. Take care.
Brent Beard. Brought to you in part by our title sponsor, and that, of course, is Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. And I have a confession to make. I had to go over there today and get a Genesis. I missed that G70 so bad. I missed it so bad. It is the greatest performing car I have ever had, and I've got another one. And you can, too. They got plenty of G70s, G80s, G90s on the lot. All you got to do is get a hold of Vinny Gerard. He's the guy that's running the Genesis department of the dealership for Chris True, who is the general manager. And they'll even bring the car to you. If you call Vinny Gerard directly at 662-890-6684, that's his direct number. He will come. He will deliver this car to you. Or if you want to try that new SUV, the GV80, which I took a really good tour of today, they are having a problem keeping them in stock. Every time they have a bunch, they sell out of them. That's how good that automobile is. but they'll let you come test drive it, and then you can order it if you would like. What a great car. On that 70, and I've talked about this before, how fast it is, how when you put it in sport mode, not only does it change the way the engine goes, but it changes the frame. So it can take corners. It's unbelievable. You can test drive those. There's actually some 0% financing available on some of the G70s. Those are the only ones. And you know how good these cars are. You get plenty of warranties. They're incredibly durable. You got a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new Genesis or Hyundai. And you get a 3 or 36,000-mile maintenance package complimentary. Why? Because they want to take care of you. That's the way they operate at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in a minute. When we come back, we'll switch gears to the National Football League. Former Vol, former Ram, just all-around great guy, Jeff Moore, coming your way next.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
First Bank is here to help you, whether you're a business looking for a loan to expand or refinance an existing one, a homeowner looking for a mortgage or home equity line, a consumer wanting to finance your dream car, or wanting a competitive rate on your CD deposits. Let First Bank try to handle your banking needs. Stop into one of First Bank's 3 local branches today. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or check them out online at firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Halfway home on this Tuesday. Brett off. He'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, Jeff Moore, former L.A. Ram, joins us now. We talk National Football League. So many stories to talk about, including your alma mater. So let me ask you a little bit, Jeff. What was your sense of Fulmer having to go, of Jeremy Pruitt out, and of the issues that they may be facing. And who would you like to see as the new AD and then football coach?
Well, I haven't given a lot of thought, honestly, to the new AD and new head coach. Gosh, I mean, it's always unfortunate to see a coach get let go, but it was obvious that the program just kind of took a step backwards this year, and changes have to be made when that's the case.
And so they shall. All right, let's talk National Football League. What great showdowns we saw over the weekend. So many great stories. And we'll start with Patrick Mahomes. We just gave the update. He has gone through, I guess, 4 of the 5 protocols. He has had the ability to practice, I guess, one-on-one things. He has not been able to be with the team. Hopefully, though, they think there's still a shot that he'll be able to play on Sunday. Your sense of where that's at?
Well, the key is tomorrow, and Thursday, just him being able to get some practice reps in. From what I'm hearing and trying to read between the lines, I think it's highly unlikely that he would not be playing.
Yeah.
I think, the stories that I've read is that he was good enough to get back in the game were it not for the protocols and that they just proceeded with caution. But I expect him to play. I expect him to play well. And I expect it to be a shootout. I think Buffalo is playing better to me than Kansas City is right now. And I thought the Cleveland Browns, had they been effective in their running game the way they were going into the playoffs, they possibly could have had some success. But you have to give the Chiefs credit for shutting that running game down. I give Kansas City a slight razor edge in this game because of their experience in this being their 3rd straight AFC championship game and Buffalo being kind of new to the party. And there is a difference, I think, when you've had experience competing in the playoffs and when you're just getting there for the first time in a long time.
I'm getting this sense you just don't like Kansas City. I mean, you picked against them last week to get upset by the Browns. And frankly, if they had made one call on a rule that we don't like, or had they called the targeting, it might have been a different finish.
Outcome, it would have been. I mean, and that was clearly leading with the helmet. I mean, I don't know how they didn't call that, but still, you never know how a game's going to turn out. To me, Kansas City just plays too many close games with the talent that they have, and they earlier in different games throughout the season, they would blow teams out, but to me, they just don't put teams away, and I think that can hurt them. But again, the playoff experience, I think, gives them a slight, ever so slight edge against Buffalo. Buffalo, to me, is just playing better football right now than Kansas City.
Yeah, they definitely finished the regular season off a lot better, have looked better in the playoffs thus far, Jeff. So I don't blame you giving Buffalo kind of an edge in this one. Especially with the questions around Mahomes. But another guy that we possibly saw for the last time on Sunday, Drew Brees, obviously not having a great performance in their 30-20 loss to Tom Brady. He threw 3 interceptions in that game. Do you think that's more, for his mindset, a sign of, I can't leave with this sour taste in my mouth, I got to come back for one more year? Or is it a sign that the game's passed me by, time to hang him up?
I think it's the latter, and it's unfortunate that he didn't play well in that game. But I think, the injury that he sustained this year with the rib and the punctured lung, those to me were huge for a guy his age. So, I mean, hats off to a brilliant career and just a great statesman for the league. But I'd be very surprised if we see Drew Brees again. I expect him to retire.
Along those lines, and I've thought about this, you can't blame Drew Brees for wanting to be in there and playing. So you can't.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was trying, and let's be honest. I don't think he can throw a ball more than 20, 25 yards with zip.
Right. Right.
If it's the broken ribs that were a part of that, or his legs are they're older and he couldn't get the zip, whatever it was. But you can blame the coach for continuing to play a guy that he sees can't make the throws. Now, Jameis Winston was your only option because Hill was out of the game. But do you put any blame on the head coach for continuing to play a guy who was showing us that he doesn't have enough zip in his arm?
No. I think the relationship between Sean Payton and Drew Brees is just bigger than any one game. And the last thing you would want to do is bench a guy that just has the kind of brilliant career that he's had. It's unfortunate he didn't play well, but I understand why they didn't pull him. He didn't have it. Going into that game, he had played well. Their offense seemed to be, hitting all cylinders again, but it just wasn't a good performance for him. And hats off to him. He's just been great for the game, I think.
Yeah, he really has. But going forward for New Orleans, who's the guy? Is Taysom Hill now a week in and week out starter, or are they going to look maybe to try to get Deshaun Watson, pick somebody up in the draft? Well, what's their mindset going forward, do you think?
Well, Coach Payton keeps saying that the next quarterback is in the room, is on the team now. I would think they would certainly look at it an opportunity to get Deshaun Watson if he became available. They apparently are not all sold out on Jameis Winston, but maybe with an off season where he's able to work more with the offense and not have the kind of off season that we had where everything or a lot had to be virtual. Maybe he'll be able to convince the coaching staff that he can get the job done. I like Jameis. I like to see them give him a chance, but we'll just have to see. I don't get the sense that they're going to be going after a guy to start for them. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised to see them hand the ball to Jameis, though.
I would have thought that if you said that to me last year. But when he couldn't beat out a tight end for that position, right. I'm beginning to think I don't think it is there for him. But we shall see. Going back to Deshaun Watson, I would love your old school take on Watson being so upset about sort of being ignored in the process of hiring a general manager. Now, we've seen this in the NBA for years because you've really got two or three key guys that kind of run the team, the stars. Right. But in football, even though the position of quarterback is, I think, the most important, does a guy have that, or should a guy like Deshaun Watson have that much say in that? Does he have a right to be as miffed as he is?
I think it's a little misguided, frankly. Players don't have the experience of knowing how to vet one GM versus another. You can't just go off of how what a guy, what it feels like or what you've heard. No, I don't think that's a decision players get to make. I think you work with the guy, the general manager or the head coach that team decides they want to bring in. But I don't think any player, Tom Brady included, is in a position to really, objectively analyze who's a good general manager and who isn't. It's just outside of their skill set. Let them do what they do on the field. I certainly could understand him being upset if they told him that he was going to have input and then they didn't get his input. And I sense that there's more of that situation. But, players, play. We there's just so much more involved in that job than just what goes on inside the lines on the field. So, Deshaun, not trying to take anything away from him, but I just don't think a quarterback or any player, frankly, in the league is able to really objectively determine who is the best person to be a general manager or head coach.
Yeah, you brought up Tom Brady as being a guy that doesn't even have that power, and he's in another big quarterback matchup this week against Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau.
Wow.
How do you see that one folding out?
Man, that is classic. That is classic. I see an upset. I think I would expect Green Bay to be favored at home. But to me, Tom, just the experience, I think he's got more to work with than Aaron Rodgers does, although what Aaron Rodgers does have to work with, they've done an extremely great, fantastic job this year. I just think that Tampa's, with Tom's experience, with that defense and Devin White running around and playing the way he's playing, their defense is stout up front. I like Tampa's chances to pull the upset and win in Green Bay this weekend, which will basically destroy my two picks, which were the Saints and New Orleans and Kansas City.
Yeah.
To be in the Super Bowl.
Well, you could still have the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And in Mahomes' place,
right.
I think these games are so close. So you like the upset. You like Tampa winning at Green Bay. This is the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career that he has a home championship conference game. I think he's going to take advantage of there. So I'll beg to differ with you on that. The Buffalo Kansas City game, so much of it will depend on will Mahomes play, and is he? I really think that he's okay. I think he'll play, and I think he'll be 100%. And then we'll have to see what Josh Allen does on a stage that's bigger than anyone he's ever played on. And you've got something that Andy Reid is the only guy who's ever coached two different teams to 3 straight conference championship games, and he's done that where every conference championship game has been at home. I mean, that's unheard of. No one's ever done that before.
It is.
And you got to – I kind of feel like the favorites are going to win in this game. But I know you got the one upset. What have you got in the AFC?
I got Kansas City. I like Kansas City winning at home because of their playoff experience, but I do believe Buffalo is playing better football. I would not be surprised if they won that game.
Okay, but you're picking Kansas City.
I'm picking
Just want to be sure. Boy,
you're
waffling on me late.
Kansas City and Tampa.
I hate to say this, Jeff, and as you've gotten older, you become a big waffler. Come on. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks,
okay,
Jeff.
buddy. Take care. Bye-bye.
That is Jeff Moore on the National Football League, and we got more of that coming your way in a little bit. Because at the top of the hour, our friend Bo Marchand from collegetopro.com will be here. This portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. I like to just call them Brian Elder Solutions now because not only are they doing roofing, but they're doing contracting work as well. So if beyond roofing repairs come into play, don't hesitate to call Brian Elder or call my friend Chris Price. Call me, Chris. They got a very famous number. It's 867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Now, look, with roofing, they could actually measure your roof from outer space. They brag about it, but they'd really rather come out and take a look. If you've got shingles that are misplaced, call them. They'll come out. It doesn't cost anything. They'll look around. They can fix anything easily, or they can do a full repair. And if there's any issues where insurance companies might come into play, they'll make the phone call for you. And now they're doing these little jobs with contracting where maybe you want a little remodel. They can do that too. They are really good. Same thing they do with roofing. It's only the best product on the market that they use, and they have the best warranties in the business. It's the no questions asked warranty, which really sets them apart from anybody else because they're going to stand by their work. 867-0303. There's a lot of reasons you want to call either Brian Elder or Chris Price at Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. Back with a wrap of this second hour on this Tuesday on Sports 56.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM and 96.1 FM.
When you're in need of quality jeans, shirts, and boots, think Frontier Western Store in Olive Branch. Frontier has thousands of square feet of merchandise at everyday low prices. Tons of jeans by Carhartt, Wrangler, and Ariat. Whether you're after classic denim jeans, dungarees, or work pants, you'll find it among Frontier's amazing selection of stylish modern fits. Flame retardant jeans and shirts are now available as well. Cold weather is here, and Frontier is restocked with insulated overalls, coats, and beanies by Carhartt. Jackets by Ariat available as well. Don't forget the boots. Frontier boasts thousands of pairs of boots in stock. Whether you want a nice pair of dress boots or need super tough work boots, Frontier has you covered. Steel toe or soft, waterproof square toe or round, we've got them all. Ariat, Durango, Dan Post, Rocky, and many more brands. You're guaranteed to find your next favorite pair at Frontier. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Or shop online 24/7 at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Hey, we understand. With everything that's happening, with all the new regulations, maybe you're not ready to come and hang out at Sweetgrass to catch a ball game. We want you to, we really do. And we're open for you to do just that. But we're also offering the next best thing, the new Sweetgrass Tailgate Party Packs. Whether it's wings, house-made dips, sliders, or other Sweetgrass tasty treats, all you have to do is call us or go to sweetgrassmemphis.com to order just what you're dreaming of when you're dreaming of watching sports and enjoying some sweet, sweet Sweetgrass.
Do not wait for summer. Get your pool now during the early bird pool sale at Family Leisure through February the 7th. You can reserve your installation spot on your new pool purchase from Family Leisure. You know the prices like the temperature. They'll go up when it gets warmer, so you must reserve yours now. Family Leisure has hundreds of spas on order, so reserve yours now. The early bird pool sales happening now at Family Leisure, Whidden Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Well, the Twitter from the University of Memphis just came out. It says new semester, new Tiger. So that's coming from them. That would make me think he must have sort of cleared, right?
Sounds like. I mean, he started in class. Class started today, so
starting class and being on the team are two separate entities. But when this says new semester, new Tiger, makes you think, because it comes from Memphis basketball, makes you think
he should be ready to go.
Maybe that he is ready to go for Thursday. We'll obviously double check. I mentioned earlier, we got the news today that Tiger Woods had his 5th back surgery, out indefinitely. It was an issue with a pressurized disc. It's I don't think it's major surgery, but he's definitely out for the near foreseeable future. Hopefully he'll be able to come back for an opportunity to try to get back into the mix in the Masters. But you and I both watched the HBO documentary. We've seen both parts.
Yes, loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Me too. And here's why I loved it. I thought it was totally fair. Now, look, there are going to be some who will go, that thing was really harsh on him.
It was, but that's how it kind of folded out.
Here's the truth. Human beings are flawed. There is not a perfect human being. Any documentary that shows you a perfect human being is not a fair documentary. Tiger Woods had issues. He had his addictions. He had, to me, a very shallow connection with a lot of people. Maybe he's learned from all of that. We saw his greatness. We saw his mental toughness. The fact that he won this this thing in 2019 at Augusta, this 15th major, from where he came from and the addiction to opioids because of the pain from all of the surgeries, it was phenomenal. The fact that he won on a broken leg and a bad knee in a U.S. Open over Rocco Mediate was incredible. In fact, I love the Rocco Mediate story where he goes, I tried talking to the devil.
No, I like it.
And basically he said, I'll make you a deal, devil, if you let me win this U.S. Open tomorrow over Tiger. He's a pretty good player, maybe the best of all time. I'll give you my soul. And the devil looked down at Rocco and he goes, "Yo, you're the one playing Tiger. Forget it. He's already mine."
I thought it was great.
That was a great story. But the truth is this was a fair documentary because you saw all sides and you got some explanations into Tiger's personality. And one of them that was really foretelling to me, and I hate this for him, and I hope as he gets older that it is different for him. But his ability to cut off relationships without a feeling, starting with his girlfriend
from high school, basically.
And then he
sending her a letter and then never talking to her again.
He goes home from college a day early, so he still cares a great deal about this woman. He lies to his parents about when he's coming home, spends the night with her, goes home. They found out about it, and they basically said, you got to cut that relationship off. And he did with a letter. Never even looked her in the eye. When he has this woman friend, and I believe she's just a friend, over all these years going back to high school, and after it might have been when he got arrested for driving the car.
No, I think it was right after all the scandal.
With the girls?
Yeah, all the girl stuff came out. She said that she had tried to call him, and still to this day hadn't heard from him.
Never. You know, this is a lifelong friend. Just cut him off. And then, basically with the girl who claims that he really loved her, you could tell. And he basically says, hey, go for all the money you can get. And that was about as kind of thing as he could say, and never dealt with her. And the way he cut off Stevie Williams, his caddy, who, Stevie allowed himself to be the heavy. I always thought he was really an exceptional caddy, and Brett and I would go back and forth on the importance of a really good caddy. I always thought Stevie truly helped him on a lot of fronts, including all the distractions that might have taken place on the golf course where he was the heavy hand, where he told the cameraman, move your butt, and kicked away a camera. And if anybody got too close, he was physically intimidating to make sure that guy moved or that girl moved, whatever it would be. And he took that upon himself to be the bad guy. And then because he went and caddied for Adam Scott, he fired him. And then as
Stevie says after he already told him he could.
Right. And Stevie said, well, okay, if he wants to fire me, I get it. I'm out of a job, but I didn't think I would be out of a friendship. He was his best man at his wedding.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
To me, the biggest thing, because obviously when he won his first major in 97, I was 2 or 3 years old. So I don't remember a lot of the Earl being around type of stuff. Obviously wasn't mentally capable of knowing all that stuff. So the biggest thing out of the two parts was just really coming to fully understand how big of a grasp Earl had of control of his life and truly turning him into the machine that Tiger is.
No doubt. No doubt. And unfortunately, not just the machine at golf, but also sort of the
personality machine.
Yeah,
too.
Empty soul, maybe, that he had become. I would love to ask this question. Do you think Earl would be proud of the way Tiger turned out? Clearly, one of the greatest golfers of all time. But this was a guy that he had declared a messiah. Was Earl disappointed in the end? Or would he have been disappointed in the way he turned out? That's 2 hours in the books. When we come back, this will be fun. Beau Marchant from collegetopro.com. They declared for the NFL draft yesterday. That was Declaration Day, I believe. Who are the no-brainers? Who's going to make it for sure? That will be one of the questions that we'll ask Beau Marchant when he comes your way in a minute.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
When you think about Memphis-style hot wings, you better be thinking about Crumpy's Hot Wings, because they're made from the freshest ingredients and always deliver that mouth-watering taste that you expect from your hot wings. Now you can visit their new location at 420 South Germantown Parkway. You can also call them at 901-207-1273 and see for yourself why Crumpy's is simply the best. Ask for the Sports 56 Special, which is 20 pieces of whole wings, large fries, and 4 drinks at just $38 for your family or group gatherings. Crumpy's Hot Wings, simply the best.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Our third and final hour brought to you every day by the good people down on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience you've come to know and love at DeSoto Auto Sales. All the cars test driven, all checked out, head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, but they do care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a world today that time really matters. That's why you can walk in, find the car you want, test drive that car, get credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in 45 minutes or less in time to do it over your busy lunch hour or immediately after work at DeSoto Auto Sales. Go online and check out the many happy referrals and look at all those beautiful cars at DeSotoAutosales.com. At 5704 Goodman Road, come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Welcome back in hour number 3 on a busy day. We've learned about Jordan Nesbitt. That is the young man who is now the latest Tiger. He's pulling a Jarnell Stokes. That's the former Central. I can't remember if he was at Central or
I believe
South
it was
Wind.
Central.
Well, he was
Central sounds
no.
more right.
He was at Central, but then I want to say that he left Central and went to Southwind for a period of time before he graduated early, went to Tennessee, and played half a year before he was supposed to play. Played that second semester.
Graduated from Southwind. You're all right.
Ah.
You are correct, sir.
My mind sometimes works
Good job.
decently, and it looks like he could play on Thursday for the Tigers against Wichita State. It was a big win last night for the the Grizzlies. John Morant was brilliant again, got a late call and a charge on Chris Paul, of all people. So they won their 5th in a row. They are now at this moment, if the playoffs started tomorrow, they would be a tie with Golden State for 7th seed in the West. That was really good. And I've got some sad news to pass on, and I thank a texter at the First Bank text line that made me aware of this. And baseball has lost another one, and we were talking, just Brett and I, just a few days ago about all of the Hall of Famers that we've known and loved who have passed away recently, and this one just occurred. Hall of Famer Don Sutton has passed away. He was 75 years old, which to me, in this day and age, that seems, for a guy who seemed to be pretty fit, that seems young.
Seems pretty young.
Well, the right-hander was an amazing guy. He spent most of his years, 16, in fact, with the Dodgers, but he also played for the Angels, Brewers, Astros, and A's. He had 22 years in the bigs from 1966 to 88, 324 regular season wins, tied for 14th best with Nolan Ryan. He then went into the broadcast booth and was a terrific announcer for the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Nationals. His longest run as a commentator was with the Braves. So he's actually in the Hall of Fame. I think they retired his Dodger number in 1998, and the Braves put him in their Hall of Fame for his announcing in the stint that he had in 2015. So he's in the Hall of Fame, Dodgers Hall of Fame, and the Braves Hall of Fame. What a great guy, unfortunately passing away today at the age of 75. You know, we talk NFL. We do that every week with our friend from collegetopro.com. That is Beau Marchant, who really was sort of speechless last week, having a hard time doing the show, just crushed from the Steelers' loss. But you've had a whole week to recover now. I'm sure you're back in form. And I want to start, I think yesterday was Declaration Day. Now we know who's going to be in the NFL draft. That's a big part of your job, collegetopro.com. So let's just talk about a couple of the guys that you think are no-brainers. They're going to be great players in the National Football League. And let's start with what most likely will be the number one pick for Urban Meyer. It's hard for me to say that, but the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Is he a surefire, can't miss, gonna be an all-pro NFL player?
At this point, guys, and I hope you have a great day, I don't actually think so. I'd be reluctant to say that. I'm kind of stiffy on the quarterback class coming into this particular draft, especially at the top with Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. You know, I've had conversations with some other scouts and people in the business, and I said, what am I missing? You know, what are the factors that I'm missing? Why are everyone so goo-goo-gaga over these guys? Because I'm not seeing it yet at this point. It doesn't mean I might change my mind as we kind of draw near, because, you know, I mean, a lot will change from now till April in terms of, you know, stock rising and dropping for these guys. But those two particular quarterbacks in particular, I'm really not as high on as everybody else out there.
Is there a guy that you are high on, though? I mean, a guy that you think can actually put in a decent 8 to 10 year or even more NFL career from this quarterback class?
Yeah, well, you know, I think those guys can do that. I mean, but when I think of, you know, when you think of first pick, you think top five, you know, you're thinking of, you want this epic leader that's going to, put you. I mean, even look at Drew Brees. I mean, you're talking about a Hall of Fame career, one of the best we've seen, but he was 9-8 in his playoffs. You know, so I mean, and you want a guy that's going to win that big game, a la like Tom Brady. I mean, that's what everybody's chasing. But you know, I love Trey Lance. You know, I was fortunate enough to see him play last year, and I joke around, you know, he was a freshman. He's come out early because he had enough time. He's a sophomore now, but, you know, North Dakota State, and he looked at his body of work. And I was thinking, you know, being so close to Winnipeg, I'm like, well, maybe we could bring this guy up north. You know, maybe he's a diamond in the rough that nobody knows about. But lo and behold, he's a fourth-round pick. And you got Wilson as well. I mean, he's kind of come out of nowhere. And there's always that guy. Wilson was that guy this year. You know, we've seen it here and before, like, you know, Baker Mayfield come up from behind, Cam Newton, Carson Palmer. There's so many quarterbacks.
Joe Burrow.
They're not really the hyped up guy, the talked about guy going into their final season of college, or but lo and behold, they have that that magical run that they kind of propel themselves into that, top realm. But the quarterbacks, again, I'm iffy at this point. It just seems like, Justin Lawrence, you look at his freshman year, the national championship game, and you start looking at the big games after that, and I just don't see that if you want to say that word, matters. And then I'm reluctant to kind of fall to, the Ohio State quarterback curse. Braxton Miller, Terrell Pryor, J.T. Parrott, Cardale Jones, Dwayne Haskins. It's a system. And I say it to everybody, it's a system. Now people can, Justin Herbert kind of broke the trend for Oregon's quarterback. They kind of had a run of high draft quarterbacks that really weren't spectacular, and Herbert looks like he's going to really be good. Hopefully he doesn't take a step back. We saw that with, Baker Mayfield, 27 touchdowns his rookie season, set a record. Then, he had a down year, his second season, kind of took it back up to third year. So, Herbert broke that record, and, so you just expect expectations to be even higher, but who knows, maybe he takes a step back. But at the end of the day, I don't think these guys are going to be bust necessarily, but I'm just not overwhelmed and just thinking, wow, you're going to put this guy in the number 2 or number 1 or 2 pick, and you're going to be set for the next 10 years.
What about Devontae Smith? He's not a big guy, but my goodness, he's so fast and stronger than you think, and his quickness is there too. He knows angles. Is he a surefire pro?
Yeah, he appears to be. The only thing that makes me fat, and everyone is like, man, Bo's a real downer today, but, I think of like a guy like Peter Warrick, and I also think of Desmond Howard, Reggie Bush, some of the most epically awesome college football players that you've kind of come across over the last couple of decades. And that's why I think of Devontae Smith. I just think he's so good. Can he be this good at the next level? And then I start looking at Bama and all their weapons. But, they've been relatively good, Calvin Riley, Julio Jones. I mean, they've been able to put guys in the pros and kind of, work out at that receiver position. So I like Smith. I mean, Jamar Chase, LSU, he got hurt and he missed his final season with the Tigers. I mean, I think he's right up there in terms of, possible, Pro Bowl type talent at the next level at the receiver position. So, Jalen Waddle's right there in the mix, deep receiver class again. So I would be more surprised if Smith wasn't a really special player in the National Football League. But again, I always kind of get nervous when they look so good, because just wonder how that could translate to the next level.
So since you're down on so many people, except for maybe Devontae Smith, who do you like? Who are the guys that you see out there that are going to be really good?
I think Penny Sewell, the tackle from Oregon. I mean, if you watch him play, I mean, he looks like he has, if you didn't look at the top half and you just looked at the bottom half and watch his feet, and his hips and how quick he can pull and move, and he's so, fluid and graceful. And then you look at the upper half and you're like, wow, this is a 6'6", 320 kid. I mean, you're pretty impressed with that. So, I mean, again, and it's like any position, but, I would really be surprised if he's really not a special tackle. A guy that, is going to, really be the bookend for a pro quarterback for years and years to come. And I'm a sucker for DNA and the bloodline, but, I look at Patrick Surtain II. His father was a Pro Bowler. He was a second-round pick coming out. And, Patrick Surtain Jr., is probably going to be a top 10 pick, one of the top DB-type safeties out there. So, I think those two guys, if I just had to pick a guy that I think that we can plug and play, for the next 10 years and get Pro Bowl-type ability, I think those would be the two guys in particular. But, I've been wrong. I mean, me and Brett always joke about Chance Womack. I mean, I thought Chance Womack would be already head of the Canton by now, and that never panned out. So, but those are two guys in particular that I'm really, I just think that they can be very solid pros. And I kind of feel that way about Chase and Smith, too, especially Chase.
Bo, going from potential rookies in the NFL to veterans, the Ravens yesterday have decided to waive RG3 and Mark Ingram. Obviously, you think Mark Ingram probably doesn't have that much trouble finding a new place, but do they both have a future left in the NFL?
Yeah, I think Mark Ingram definitely has, he was banged up. I definitely think he has, someplace he can. I mean, look at Frank Gore. I think Mark Ingram's every bit as productive as Frank Gore, at this point in his career. So I think Mark Ingram's definitely a guy. And RG3, that's tricky. That's just I think if he can fit the system where they're looking for a veteran, presence that kind of fits that athletic mold, if that's the guy you want to back up your starting quarterback, then I think he does. But I think absent of that, then, this might be the last. But I would be surprised if he's completely out of the league. I still think he would be in a camp next year. And then, then we'll see how it goes.
I have to ask you, because he's our friend, and I'm worried about him, to be honest with you. And it's your team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. What will happen with Randy Fichtner? His entire NFL coaching career has been with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, 13 years. I think he's got an incredible offensive mind. Will he find another job in the NFL?
I think he will. He did a fantastic job. And, it's funny. If you don't look at the disastrous sinking of their season, going 1-5 at the beginning, 11-0, all these coaches that they release probably get extensions. But that's not the case, and this is the life of the NFL, and it's a what can you do for me now league, and they send him packing. But I think him, and and you mentioned, Randy Fichtner, there was nobody better than just to sit on a Zoom call with. A lot of coaches' interviews or player interviews, maybe they last 6 to 8 minutes. Randy got on the Zoom call, and he's going to be on there for at least 15. Yeah. He's going to give you a very thorough and, thought about response. And, his mannerisms, he's kind of just a slow draw and just kind of really thinking about choosing his words and just so soft spoken. And it's, he kind of just, really makes you enjoy the process of the interview. But at the end of the day, I thought he was successful. And I thought he did what they could do. They could not run the ball. If you can't run the ball, I don't think that's really Randy Fichtner's fault. They couldn't run the ball. So they had to use the pass as an extension. And that's why you saw Ben, especially early in the season. This is one thing I don't know why they got away from is, they disputed the ball, disputed the ball so well early on in the season. It was really, and then later in the year, Ben started going to Deontay Johnson a little bit more, and it almost reminded me a little bit of the old Antonio Brown type Ben Roethlisberger, where he was dropping back and just looking for a certain number before really surveying the field. But at the end of the day, I think he's deserving and will get another shot at the NFL to coach an offense and be successful doing it.
Down in Jacksonville, obviously our big news is the Urban Meyer hire. How important is it that Urban surrounds himself with NFL lifer type of guys on his staff instead of because we've heard Charlie Strong possibility down there. Is it really important for him to surround himself with NFL lifers?
I think in certain positions, I don't think he has to go all in and have those guys, but I think a good mix. And at the end of the day, Drew, I think as long as he has a coaching staff that can deliver. I'm not sure if, experience is, maybe the best, key at this position or that position. And I'm excited that he got the job. There's a lot of other deserving head coaches out there as well, but just the excitement factor of that name being down there. And, he's a college guy, one of the most successful we've seen, 3 national championships, and he's successful wherever he's gone. So, obviously there's going to be a fantastic buzz surrounding what he's going to do. Him coming with 0 NFL experience, you would think, he would surround himself with guys that kind of know how to motivate an NFL player rather than the more rah-rah guy of a collegiate type. But again, and then, that's way to be seen. And I think we're going to see that unfold in terms of who he does hire and as he starts to build his coaching staff of what kind of guys that he wants to build around. And I don't think Urban Meyer is going to go to bed feeling inferior to anyone on the staff if they have, 17 years of NFL experience rather than, a guy fresh out of school, that, had a successful collegiate career coaching. But at the end of the day, I think you'll see a mix. I think he'll probably bring some guys that he's known that have been there for him, during the dog fights of college career coaching. And then I think he'll bring in some guys that, he's known through the just his career of guys at the next level looking for work that he knows can be guys that can help him build a winning program in Jacksonville.
5 years from now, are they a playoff team?
Oh, that's a great question. I hope so. I hope so. I'd say yes. And the only reason I say that is, I don't know if they can be that bad. I know they had the good run a couple of years ago, and but absent of that, they have been a bad football team. So I imagine another 5 years. I don't think they could be that bad, and I don't think the AFC South is that good. And everybody's probably shaking their head. And you got the Texans and the Colts, and but another 5 years, who knows how the teams that are good now are going to be. So I would say yeah. And I don't know if it'll be Meyer. He might turn it around and get another guy to it because he seems like a short-term in and out type guy, but he might fix it close enough to year 3 or 4 where another guy takes it over.
Well, Bo, for the next 5 years, I'm holding you to it. I'm going to start putting on future bets for the Jaguars to make the playoffs the next 5 years. If they don't, you're gonna have a bill to be paid, sir. I promise you that. But
geez.
now that we're in the conference championship weekend, obviously great matches, and I just want to start in the NFC. Another great quarterback matchup going against Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers, I think, has pretty much solidified himself as the MVP. But Brady has been here now 14 times. Does he get to another Super Bowl?
Well, I tell you what, Drew, I wish I knew that for sure because I'd be putting money. You know what? I want to say Green Bay, but we've seen it with Favre, but that they and Eli Manning, and he goes up in Lambeau and they're the underdog and they rob it and they go to the Super Bowl and win. I said this before on the show. I mean, the last guy that any team wants to face is number 12, regardless of who you are or how good your team is. The last guy you want to see coming into your stadium is Tom Brady. And they didn't play that well. I don't know if they really – I mean, they won last week, but I thought it was more, how bad the New Orleans Saints played. I don't think the Saints dominated – or the Buccaneers dominated the Saints. It's just, 4 turnovers. It's just very lousy play, by New Orleans. But I think it's going to be a good game. I would like to think that with home field, I know there's no fans, but I just think Lambeau's a special place regardless if you put people in it or not. And it just seems like Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, they're playing well. And I know they got beat bad. I mean, they got embarrassed when they went down to Tampa. I mean, they destroyed them. Rodgers had one of his worst games, this year, possibly of his career. I mean, that's how bad he was earlier in the season. So I would think Rodgers has a little axe to grind in that. And what better way to kind of go to the Super Bowl than beating, Tom Brady and kind of reach his 3rd Super Bowl if you're Aaron Rodgers.
I'm with you. I think if we look and we're honest, the better team is the Green Bay Packers. They can run, they can throw, they got the best quarterback in the game at the moment, even though he's up against Brady, who's set the quarterback touchdown record for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 43. That's amazing that he could do that. But I think you're right. Plus, if it's nasty at Lambeau and you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you've been playing in good weather all year, forget the crowds. Just think of the weather. Isn't that a factor?
Yeah, I think it's a factor. Now, the only factor, I don't think it affects Tom, and that's probably the best thing for Tampa Bay because he's accustomed to it. Yeah, but I think everybody else, you're going to kind of say, hey, this probably is not your cup of tea, being in this kind of atmosphere. We saw during I forget the game who it was when it was it the Bills game where the Packers played and it was snowing? I don't want to say it was Buffalo, but maybe the Rams. But whoever they played when it was snowing a couple weeks back, you just saw how effortlessly Rodgers and Adams and the whole Green Bay team played. Oh, it was against the Titans. The Titans look like they look like a ship, without a sail. And you look at Green Bay just marching up and down the field. Rodgers looks like he's just kind of having backyard fun with his buddies. So, I think at the end of the day, if that does happen, it definitely benefits, the Packers, despite, Brady's background of being a snow quarterback.
There's no doubt the weather affected the Buffalo-Baltimore game. And so Josh Allen's used to this.
Gracious.
Yeah, the win was
Justin Tucker's Mr. Automatic, and he misses 2 field goals. Well, God himself was against me.
Well, you know what? That was a Saturday. Was a travel day. I'm down in Texas for the College Gridiron Showcase, which just real quick it's so nice to just kind of be back in the swing of like college football stuff and seeing players practice and just kind of get into a routine again. It's what, despite COVID, there's aren't restrictions, but nonetheless, the wheels are in motion. But, Saturday I got here and I went down to I checked in and I went down to the bar to grab a beer and watch the game. And I didn't hear any of it. I didn't see it. I walked in and it's 10-3. I'm like, what? I'm like, and I really, I looked at the guy next. I said, I thought Baltimore would be winning this game. Then it's 17-3. And I'm like, I'm still like, wow, man. I really thought Baltimore would come out and play a much better game. And I thought Baltimore was the one team that they were going to give anybody was going to give the Chiefs a real run for their money. I thought it was going to be Baltimore, but that's not the case. Now it's Buffalo, and again, it should be a good game. Buffalo's hot just like Baltimore, and Buffalo's playing as good as anybody, and and I think they really beat a fantastic Ravens team to advance to play Kansas City, and the way their defense is playing, and Josh Allen's a little bit of a magician himself. He can play. Him and Stephon Diggs. I think they're right on par in terms of sizzling hot connections, just like Adams and Rogers. I mean, Diggs and Allen are dialed up, and they just seem like they're on another level. All of like a Harrison and Peyton Manning, they just seem to have that connection. And I don't think they're concussion. I mean, listen, we all know Patrick Mahomes is playing, so I mean we can just disregard if we're going to see Patrick Mahomes this weekend. We will, and he'll probably play fantastic. But for Buffalo, you got to keep the ball away. You don't want to get into a shootout with this team because they're just too deadly. It's one of those things where they're going to have to kind of run the ball and rely more on Singletary and Zach Moss and try to get that game going and Singletary I should say, but and move the ball that way. But at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to I think the Chiefs or the Packers. I think the Chiefs, they're the defending champions. They've looked fantastic all year long. It's just hard to say that they're not going to repeat as AFC champions.
I'm with you. Bo Marchant, as always, will readdress this next week. Thank you, my friend.
Have a great week, gentlemen.
Thanks, Bo. Bo Marchant, collegetopro.com. Some breaking Tiger football news.
Yeah, we do. This is coming across the wire from Brian Moss of Rivals.com. Tight end Cameron Wilson has decided that after Sean Dykes decided to come back, that he will now enter the transfer portal as well. So he will not be back for the University of Memphis.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that.
I did too. I thought he was going to be a guy of the future after Dykes. But
I did too, and he actually does a little bit more than Dykes. Not as good a receiver as Dykes, but a better blocker.
I mean, still had 3 TDs this year. I mean, in the limited time that he saw.
Yeah, I hate hearing that. That is not good news. But, as we've been saying, you can't always have everything coming your way with this transfer portal. In the past week,
unfortunately, when guys come in, some's got to go out.
You got the receiver from Arkansas that was originally at Central.
We had the two.
You got the defensive line. You got the defensive lineman Devon Robinson from Whitehaven,
from Mississippi
State. From Mississippi State. So I hate to say it, but you're going to get some. You are going to lose some. Not our title sponsor, but a major sponsor for this hour of the program is Genesis of Olive Branch and, of course, Homer Skelton Hyundai. And I want to brag on my friend Ray Melton. He confirmed to me today 13 years in a row when it comes to certified pre-owned automobiles in Memphis, Homer Skelton Hyundai is number one. There's a reason the technology in these cars is so good that lasts forever. That's why on every new automobile, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. I mean, that's the truth. And, of course, they've raised the bar in a lot of different ways. Like every new car, every new Hyundai, every new Genesis, you will get a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package for free because they want to take care of you. And, by the way, when they take care of you, those certified cars are even better, and that's why Melton keeps selling them all. It's just fantastic what they do there. They've raised the bar. I just have to tell you, I went and had to get my G70 back. The best car I've ever owned, highest performing car I've ever owned. You can own one too. There's some that are 0% financing, only in the G70 and only a couple. All you got to do is get a hold of Vinny Gerard at 662-890-6684. That's his direct number, or call the agency. Just remember Vinny Gerard. You won't forget him once you meet him, and you'll never forget these cars. The 70, the 80, the 90, even the GV80, the new SUV. They've got a demo. They'll bring it to your house, and then you can see what it's like. You're going to want to order it. They are unbelievable. They are the best. And look, even the number one in the district a month ago when it comes to sales of Genesis cars and all the other things that go with it. Go see what I'm talking about. Get on Lamar into Mississippi, turn left at Craft Road. You will have arrived at the best dealership around. Genesis of Olive Branch and Homer Skelton Hyundai. Charles Davis from CBS Sports, former Vol. He is coming your way in a minute.
Catch all the NFL playoff action all the way through to the Super Bowl. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 98.5.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer's specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I hired nuptial num-nums to cater my wedding, and it was a disaster. Everyone was raving about the food instead of my dress.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
They're like, oh, Veronica, the lamb chops. Did the lamb chops fly you out to Cancun?
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
I will not be hiring them for my next wedding.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
A good friend of mine often says that golfers are the best athletes. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. Now, I don't want to embarrass Ed by mentioning his name, but if you stop and think about it, he may be right. Just like the best real estate agent may not be who you think. Like a left tackle in football, a golfer hits it hard off the tee. Like a sprinter, the golfer walks down the fairway to reach his ball. Then like a quarterback who wants to connect with a distant target, the golfer hits the ball again, and in my case, again and again and again. So if you or someone you know is thinking of selling a home, draft your team by interviewing the players. Find out who will block that offensive lineman from knocking your deal down. And find out about the Shell Bucks option play. When interviewing, call or email me to find out why people often say, when you want the job done, call Shell Done. You can reach me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now and don't fumble that ball.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Halfway home on our final hour. A reminder, Brett off, but he will be back tomorrow. Last time we spoke with Charles Davis, he was just getting announced as a guy going from Fox to CBS to be the number 2 analyst for their NFL coverage. And Charles really couldn't quite comment on it, but now he's got a whole season under his belt. So let's start right there, Charles Davis, with congratulating you on the gig. And honestly, I'm just curious, is there a different approach in the way you broadcast a game with CBS from the way you guys did it at Fox? Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. Hope you guys are well. You know, I think that there probably is the best way to say it is that there's an overall maybe philosophy that emanates from the top. When I was at Fox, they always talked about how Fox, was the new group on the scene, right? So, all those years had been CBS or NBC or ABC's Monday Night Football. And they always talk about a thing called Fox attitude, maybe a little edginess, maybe a little extra, maybe push the boundaries a little bit. Not that CBS doesn't want you to go the extra mile. Not at all. but maybe it's just a little bit different in terms of what people might do, say, etc. And Fox attitude is much more of a, if you watch the pregame shows, both of them are loose, they both have fun. But with Fox, you may get a little more, Rob Riggle comedy and humor as opposed to what you might get at the CBS. So it's subtle stuff more than anything else. It's almost that Justice Potter Stewart stuff, when we need to find pornography. I know it when I see it. You know the differences when you see them. You know the differences when you hear them. But I think both of them are obviously striving for excellence in what they're trying to put on air.
I want to talk to you about the NFL and the two championship games coming up in the conferences this coming Sunday. But I want to also ask you about your alma mater, and that is the University of Tennessee. I have no idea if you're interested in being an AED, but I know my cohort who's off today thinks you're the perfect guy.
Basically named you himself.
I don't know if Tennessee wants a guy that's had AD experience before, but your sense of what's going on in Knoxville and what you would like to see in a new AD and a new head football coach.
Well, that discussion I've heard about. I'm not going to sit here and play coy, and I appreciate anyone who has suggested me for that. It's flattering. It's a compliment. In my career, I have worked in college athletics. I was an assistant and about to be an associate athletic director at Stanford, so it's not a foreign world to me. When you run the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, that's administrative experience, things of that nature. So this is not a world that I don't know much about. I've been in that world a lot, SEC conference office, et cetera. But that's not anything for me, The University of Tennessee's got to make up their mind about what they want to do and the direction they want to go. And, I'm not sitting there with Chancellor Plowman. She hasn't asked me my opinion, so I don't really have one for public view. But I'm like anyone else who loves, lives, bleeds orange. It's time for us to get a direction that's the right direction. It's time for us to get on track and be consistent in what we're doing. It's time for us to work our way towards being competitive and staying competitive in a sport that means a lot to us, and that is football. And for the life of me, I don't understand why we cannot. It's not like we're bereft of facilities. It's not like we're bereft of support. We have some of the best support that a person or persons could ever ask for from the people who support the University of Tennessee, fans, and of course administrators, and of course the people who write big checks. We are right there with anyone when we put it all together. So there really is no excuses for what we have. And if our current coaching staff or coach staff that recently has been let go, from the head coach on, if these NCAA allegations are true or whatever, that makes no sense whatsoever either. If you're going to do those types of things, you shouldn't be 3-7.
Yeah, Charles, before we get into the actual games themselves of the conference championships, we're only 2.5 weeks away from the big one, from the Super Bowl. And if you go back to August, a lot of people didn't think we would be here, would have gotten to this point in this COVID-19 environment. Just a few minutes, like how was this year for you, and did you think that we would get to the point where we are today?
It's a legit question, and it's one of those ones where it seems like on the surface, okay, whatever. But I love how you asked it, and let me give you my quickest, frankest deal. Before the season began, there were many times I thought there's no way we're having a season. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it and change it. I mean, the way the world was going, all the things that were not going on at that point, how we were sheltering at home and bunkering in a big way, the number of businesses that were being lost at a rapid rate breaks my heart every time I think about it. When you think about people that you know, and I'll guarantee amongst the three of us talking now and everyone who can hear our voices, it doesn't take much for people in their mind, and maybe some of those people are listening to us right now, to say, I know someone who lost their livelihood. Their family business that's been around for 100 years or more. I don't care how many years it's been. We all know this. And some of these businesses are not going to make it back. Breaks my heart. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't change their model. They didn't make bad decisions. The world came to them and took it from them. We can only hope that they can pick up or find another way. But it is absolutely heartbreaking. And I'm thinking, if that's happening around the world, how in the heck are we going to play football? How are we going to have a close contact sport, a collision sport, where closeness is a part of everything you do, and all they're doing is telling us to stay apart from each other? It just didn't make sense, right? Everyone worked on it, came up with their plans, tried to put it into play, the testing. It's been a marvel. It's absolutely been a marvel. The National Football League, the colleges that played, all of those, there were bumps. Don't get me wrong. Look, we had a season in the NFL. Think about this, where every single day of the week there was an NFL game at one point or another, and that's never happened before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it just doesn't happen.
We kind of love that, actually.
Well, hopefully it never happens again, guys.
Hopefully.
We got to have some absence because otherwise we're going to overrun things and we're going to hurt our game. I'm just telling you. We've all seen it where too much of a good thing is bad. Our parents were right from the time we were kids. But at the same time, the idea that season finished on time within the structure that they had laid out, that's unbelievable. Baseball, everyone didn't finish all the games that were set up to play. Basketball did it in a bubble, but they had to change everything, and a number of teams never played, right? Hockey had to do the same thing, and they did it. I thought they did it. Hockey and basketball did it masterfully. But the people who were without bubble, it's almost stunning that it happened. College football didn't get it done, even if, Big Ten, Pac-12. We can go on and on. All I'm saying is each week you show up for your assignment, you take the precautions as best you can and travel. You get tested. When the test comes back, it's relief much more than exultation. And I was lucky enough to make it all the way through in terms of my season. Still have to get through the Super Bowl because I still have some work to do. But so far, I've been one of what I would call the lucky ones because it almost seemed inevitable, not that someone had a magic formula for you to miss it. It felt like at some point that test is going to come back positive. And I don't know how it didn't for me. And for all of us, it didn't. We were fortunate. We weren't ones that did something different or better than anyone else. And anyone who thinks that, I'll just tell them straight to their face, you're a fool if you think that. You've done the right thing, but you've had some great fortune too. Because I refuse to believe that everyone who caught COVID obviously did something wrong. That's just not true either. A lot of people did the right things, and somehow it got to them anyway.
In Kansas City this Sunday, we will see the fulfillment of an accomplishment that is amazing. And that is that Andy Reid's team will have made the conference championship for a third straight year. But what's even more astonishing is that he's the only coach that has ever taken two teams to 3 straight conference championships, all 6 of those games on his home field in either Philadelphia or Kansas City. That, to me, is astonishing. What kind of a guy is Andy Reid, Charles Davis?
He's one of the guys that you want to hang out with, you want to learn from, you want to be around. I think he's a very honorable man, treats people with respect. You naturally will give that to him. You actually want to. There's an innate goodness that emanates out of him, in my estimation. And as his time has gone on as a coach, typically as we grow older, we typically grow a little more cautious, don't we? Mm-hmm. You know why? Because we know the pitfall, right? When you're a kid, you touch the hot stove because you just didn't know how hot it was. It looked fascinating because it's glowing red, right? As you get older, you know better because it does what? It hurts. When I worked for the Olympic Committee, you know what the gymnasts used to tell me all the time? Oh, we'll know when it's time to get out. I was like, well, how will you know? They're like, because all the stuff that we do, you see what we do, right? When we know it's going to hurt before we land, that's time for us to get out. Okay? Because in the beginning, you're just doing it. It's a piece of cake. Like, you're looking at people go, oh, my God, how do you do that? And when they're young, the gyms are like, what are you talking about? It's just what we do. But when they know how much it hurts, when they know where the pain's going to be, where they know the risk that's involved, and now they're thinking about it, that changes the game. Well, as we get older, don't we normally do that? Don't we naturally do that? It's like what we tell our kids when our kids are out playing. We know that can hurt down there when they do X, Y, and Z. We try and keep them from doing that because we know the end result. They don't. But Andy, on the other hand, is actually Benjamin Buttoning it to me. He's flipping it around the other way. Look at the type of offense he's running and think to yourself, did you see all that in Philadelphia? No. okay? And it's not just because he has Patrick Mahomes. He's started to do more things. He watches things. He told me once that he'll be at his desk on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, and I'll have on the MACtion game, right? The MAC conference game that's on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah. And he's got ball on in the background. And he said he keeps his sketch pad, his pen and pad, and all of a sudden he looks at, ooh, and he'll run the play back, and next thing he's sketching and doodling, and in his mind he's seeing his players. Oh, I can put him here. Oh, this will work for him there. Oh, this would be good for here. But I got to do a little twist with it, because in the NFL, this guy will, and next thing you know, he'll take something from there. Kareem Hunt, who plays for Cleveland now.
Right.
Remember, Kansas City drafted him. He led the league in rushing as a rookie with Kansas City before he got into all kinds of trouble and ultimately ended up in Cleveland. Andy Reid saw him when he was sitting there, and he watched him on a MAC game, and he kept seeing this kid dash and dart, and he made a note, and the next morning called his GM and the scouting people and said, hey, get me what you can on this kid out of Toledo. They drafted him in the third round. I mean, he's always constantly seeking to get better and do things, and fourth and whatever with Chad Henne out of gun, if that doesn't tell you about the Benjamin Buttoning of it, I don't know what does. I don't know how many coaches of his stature, of his time, would have run that play and done that, and he did it with conviction.
Staying with Kansas City, and obviously Patrick Mahomes is not 100% out of concussion protocol, but all signs are pointing in the right direction. And we know Patrick likes to use his feet. He likes to scramble around. He likes to run when he can. Are you concerned that he might be a little hesitant doing that, at least this coming week?
No, I'm really not, and the reason I say that is because of past experience. You remember when he dislocated his knee on that Thursday night game on a quarterback sneak, and they popped it back in, and he tried to get back into that game, and they kept him out for like 3 games to make sure everything was right. When he came back, I didn't see any hesitancy off of that. I don't think we'll have any hesitancy here. And I'm not trying to downplay his injury by any stretch, but I think you guys have seen the reports, and I've talked with a couple of my friends in the field, right? I've talked to the CIA director, right? And they have all kind of confirmed what the reports are, that really it's not even a concussion. Not that it wasn't scary, but you saw how he got twisted up. I think Mac Wilson had, almost had the sleeper hold on him.
Yeah.
And that threw his equilibrium off, because when we saw him stumble, that was terrifying, right? Like, oh, my God, he's really got it bad. Then when you watch the play again, you're like, okay, so where was the hit?
Right.
It wasn't up top with Mac, okay? The helmet might have hit the shoulder but didn't hit the head. And I didn't see his helmet bounce when he went down. So as it turned out, he kind of got, in a sense, choked out a little bit. So he lost his equilibrium getting up, but he has to go through the protocol, and I love that the league is making this happen to make sure everything's okay. But I truly don't believe, from everything I'm hearing now, and again, I'm not trying to downplay it, but it wasn't a concussion, I don't believe, but it was something that you had to take seriously, but I don't think it'll affect him come Sunday. I don't think he'll look up and go, well, I'm not leaving the pocket today. I don't think we're going to have that at all.
Last thing for Charles Davis from CBS Sports, and I know you got to go do NFL radio, so we'll be quick.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. We've got plenty of time.
You got Aaron Rodgers, the best in the game, I think, at this very moment against Tom Brady, the greatest in the game of all time. What a showdown in Lambeau. How does that play out?
Oh, God, this is going to be so much fun, and I think the game that they played earlier this year, you don't throw it out, but you wonder how much Tampa will try and do again on defense, because Aaron is traditionally phenomenal against blitzers.
Yep.
Like Patrick Mahomes is. It's almost the book is, I don't know if you want to blitz him, because when you blitz him, he tends to carve you up big. Because one thing about Aaron Rodgers, any game you watch, if he does get outside the pocket and now is keeping his eyes downfield for another play, how often do you see him throw a 5-yard check down? Almost never. Right? What you see is, I say it all the time, when Aaron gets out of the pocket and he's keeping a play alive, he's throwing to kill. Okay? He's not throwing for that little keep it going. And in their first game, Tampa really got to him big. I think he was like 3 for 12 against the blitz, threw some interceptions. The worst game by far he played, not just this year, but probably in about the last 5-6 years. I don't think we see that a second time. But will Tampa continue to bring pressure? I think so, because it's their identity on defense under Todd Bowles. The other part of it is Leonard Fournette is heating up running the ball.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones is running well despite a bad leg injury. And what has been Green Bay's Achilles heel over the last 2 years? Teams that are dedicated and committed to running the football. If you do that and you have success, it's really, really tough on that Packers defense who wants to play all the time with 5 or 6 defensive backs. This one will be fun. The weather will be a factor. Don't get around it. It's 20-something degrees in Green Bay. Aaron's got a burning desire to get there because he hasn't been in a while. But despite the fact this is Tom Brady's 14th conference championship game,
I know.
Let that roll around your brain a little bit.
That's more than some teams.
He has,
insane,
right? Franchises, a number. Some teams. A lot
I think
of
it's only
franchises
three franchises have more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you combine a bunch of franchises, they don't come close to 14. But no way is he sated in terms of his personal hunger for success and titles. So I think we've got a real live one on our hands. Green Bay should be the favorite, but you know, whoever walks out of that one, no one should be surprised. This one should be fun.
Charles Davis, always a pleasure chatting with you. I hope your mother-in-law is listening, and Happy New Year to you. We'll get together sometime soon.
I look forward to it. Thanks for remembering my mother-in-law. I hope she is listening. And always, Mr. Lapidus. Always keep his name alive. You take care.
There you go.
Thanks,
you.
Charles.
Charles Davis. What a nice fella. Late for a break. Crunch time in a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
The Winter Collection sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Your one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. This great Winter Collection sales event has super special financing offers featuring the flagship LS500 and Lexus named the #1 certified pre-owned program in the industry for the 4th straight year by U.S. News and World Report. The Winter Collection sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's non-habit forming with no next day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
Taqueria Express number 6 has a new location, 6290 Winchester Road. Taqueria Express has tacos of all kinds, including chicken and sirloin, beef fajitas, shrimp fajitas, enchiladas with homemade tortillas, even chicken wings. And my favorite is the mango sauce, which goes great with a nice cold beer. You can dine in and take advantage of the full bar or get your order to go. Call ahead, 901-800-2737 to pick up or use the drive-thru. Ask how you can win a 2021 Nissan Versa. Taqueria Express.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We beat you with the deal, we get insane.
Final portion of our show is brought to you by Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and free furnace January. Well, John does this all the time. January's slow, warehouse is full, crews, they're looking for things to do. So to spark business in the cold winter months, Conway gives away a Carrier 80% gas furnace free if you buy a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right. You purchase a Carrier air conditioning system in the month of January, and you'll get a gas furnace absolutely free. And John goes, wait, there's more. I'm going to throw in an April air cleaner free. I'll give you a 10-year parts warranty, no charge, a free Nest thermostat, and you add all that up because those Nest thermostats aren't cheap. That's $2,000 in savings. Plus, John goes, how about this? You can get the new system for as low as $139 a month or 12 months interest free. Everybody can do that. All you got to do is make the call, 384-3511. You get the award-winning service every time. Just call Conway, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the home of January's free furnace. It's officially crunch time.
It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello, Haskins.
Boop. Choo-choo.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
All one, odd two, odd three. Hey.
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Well, one of the things we just learned, I did not know this, is that Charles Davis has a lot of athletic administration.
I didn't know he had that much either.
On his resume. Stanford assistant AD on the Olympic Committee in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and in the SEC office, so he's perfect. We also learned today Sarah Thomas is going to be the first woman to ever officiate a Super Bowl. That comes down from the NFL today. Thomas will serve as a down judge on referee Carl Sheffer's crew at the Super Bowl. She joined the league in 2015 as its first female on-field official, and now she'll be the first one in a Super Bowl.
That is some great news, and definitely somebody who has earned that spot in the Super Bowl crew. I learned today the Ravens, they had a little bit of a season-end purge to its roster just days after their 2020 season came to the end. The Ravens decided to waive Robert Griffin III and outright release Mark Ingram after injuries kept him out the last 5 games. Baltimore has also waived defensive back Devontae Harris, defensive back Tremont Williams, and wide receiver Deontay Thomas. The Ravens also, though, did sign 11 players to reserve/future deals, including Tyler Huntley, who came in last week after Lamar Jackson left with the game with the concussion, and I honestly thought looked pretty good.
Yeah. I could have done without this story. Just breaking. Joe Dooley. Who's he? He's the head basketball coach of East Carolina, ECU. He is in self-isolation, not experiencing any symptoms, but he has tested positive for COVID-19. They will continue to follow all health and safety guidelines as outlined by the medical staff at East Carolina, and, of course, the AAC. The Tigers are supposed to play ECU on Sunday. The game on Thursday is going to happen. Well, that doesn't mean they couldn't come without him. And you know who could actually be their coach is Steve Rockefort, former Tiger assistant. But we'll have to wait and see, because now this is not one of those games that we know is definitely going to be played. ECU head coach Joe Dooley, COVID-19 symptoms, or positive test, I should say.
I could have done without, guess now, 2 things out of Nashville. Could have done without COVID-19 postponing Smashville Predators game against Carolina, and possibly if Dallas Stars don't get their COVID-19 issues under control, the next 2 games in Dallas will be suspended as well. But this also just coming across the wire, A.J. Brown is having surgery on his knee and revealed on his IG Live story that he should have been done after week 2.
Whoa.
So a lot of news coming out of Nashville today.
Yeah. Man. Whew. That is nuts. And we saw that the T.J. Carter's going to TCU.
Yep.
So there's a Nashville guy along with Eze. They're both going to TCU. Somebody in Nashville got a hold of those guys. I'm going to watch tonight Tennessee, Florida. That starts in just a couple of minutes. Then we got Alabama and LSU after that. Also at 8 o'clock, Ole Miss and Mississippi State. They will be taking each other on. I believe that game is at State. That will be on the SEC Network. Well, we got to thank for sure Bob Kessling, Brent Beard, Jeff Moore, Bo Marchant, and the great Charles Davis. That was a lot of fun. Tomorrow, a whole lot more to come your way, including Mike DeCourcy, and we'll find out what's going on with Jordan Nesbitt and everything else. Brett will be back. Thank you, Drew. We appreciate it. I'm Wallo. See you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.